Houston, everybody, and a happy Wednesday night to all of you. Welcome to the Field of 68 live from the Final Four. Our comprehensive coverage throughout the next days to lead up to crowning a national champion is underway. We are presented, as always, by Bet Rivers. We're presented by Underdog Fantasy, and we're coming to you live tonight amongst our series of different venues we'll be at from Little Woodrow's Edo in Houston. We're at 2019 Walker Street, right here in Houston, right by Minute Maid Park. Come stop and see us. If you're in the Houston area, come over. Again, 2019 Walker Street, Little Woodrow's. They got great food. They got great drinks. He's Jeff Goodman. He's Terrence Oglesby. He's Rob Dauster. Randolph Childress will join us. We've got Trevor Valise. We've got Dagan Hughes doing the ones and twos. And I'm John Fanta. And, folks, we started with a field of 68. Here we are with the Final Four, and that is UConn. That is Miami. That's San Diego State and Florida Atlantic. So, Jeff, how do you feel about this entire week?
I'm torn. I really am torn because, again, as much as I like this field, and I like the novelty factor of these three teams especially, but just the field not being what we're normally accustomed to, not what it was a year ago with the big boys, with the blue bloods. I just don't know how much the casual fan is going to get into this. I don't know how much Houston, which is normally not a great city for the Final Four because it's spread out, how much it's going to be electric with fan bases like FAU. San Diego State's okay. Miami's okay. UConn's pretty darn good. Again, I'm torn on this thing.
They're okay. They're all Final Four teams at this point.
No, fan bases.
Oh, fan bases. Okay, yeah, I was going to say. No, I think there's still some excitement. There's not that broad appeal of last year's, right? The Villanova, the North Carolina, the Duke, the Kansas. That being said, we still have four really good basketball teams and contrasting styles with a few of them too, which for basketball heads like us makes it intriguing. And not to mention a lot of other fun things happening around the sport of college basketball over the next 2 or 3 days as far as coaching changes. Transfer portal has been nuts. Still a lot happening in the world of college basketball, not just the Final Four.
The thing that I'm most concerned about here, and tell me if you guys think this is crazy, is
Probably.
The way that San Diego State got here, the way that they were allowed to defend. More than anything else, that is my biggest takeaway.
No, you hate the Aztecs, right?
I don't hate
They hate you. Their fans hate you.
Well, their fans don't like me, but I don't like rewarding that style of basketball where you basically dare officials to call fouls in every possession. They're not going to call fouls in every possession.
Butler did it back when Brad Stevens was the head
Butler
coach.
did it. Tennessee.
You weren't killing
Tennessee
them.
Did it.
You weren't killing Brad.
Nope.
No, UConn was though.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know if they were killing them. But
No, that's just my biggest issue. Is like this is the biggest stage that college basketball is going to be on. More eyeballs are going to be on this weekend than there are anything else in college basketball this season. And to try to get people excited about the sport and involved in the sport and paying attention to it long term, to grow new fans, you don't want to be having 57, 56 rugby matches.
No, agreed.
On the court. Like
Absolutely.
that's my only concern with it. Beyond that, like I love the storylines. I love Florida Atlantic, like what that represents. I love the concept of San Diego State making it to a Final Four after their season when they had a chance to be a Final Four team in 2020.
we had the
got blown
storylines
up.
and the big boys last year. We had it all.
Yes.
We had it all. We were spoiled by last year.
And it was the first Final Four back from COVID, so everybody was going nuts.
Yeah.
And where was it? T.O., where was it last year?
It was in New Orleans.
Right.
Oh.
We had it all. Like, can we just
had
do
it
that
all.
again? Can we bring
Just
Kay
run it
back?
After some of the things I saw, no.
Bring Kay back.
I can't watch.
It won't be Kay's last
Oh,
ride.
jeez, oh, man.
Let
When's
him
that
ride
picture
again.
going to come out? You have to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of It's Not About Me. That image.
That was a great image.
Hey.
The golf cart.
Here's the thing. If you're an Aztec fan out there and you're like, I hate this show already, I'm turning it off. I'm going to pay some respect on San Diego State. Because when we talk about programs, I think the casual fan says, well, if Duke, Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky are in it, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I get that. We all get that. But at a certain point, Terrence Oglesby, you cover Furman closely. So when you get to the tournament, it's one thing. When you validate it with a win over Virginia, it totally changes the program. San Diego State over the last 6 years. 107 wins to 22 losses. And I feel like nobody would have guessed that until now we're able to talk about it. Can you speak to what it means and what it says to you that teams like the Aztecs and Florida Atlantic are here on this stage. That's not just a one-hit or two-hit wonder in the tournament. They actually made the Final Four.
Well, the Mountain West has been begging for more recognition all season long and last year, especially after going 0-4 at the
Horrible
NCAA.
tournament.
Yeah, horrible tournament last
You're a
season.
Mountain West guy now, aren't you?
I am a Mountain West guy. They adopted me, so I'm bringing that one all the way on. But no, I think it says a lot to their consistency. It says a lot about the Mountain West Conference having a team go as far as what they are. And guys, you can't take away it. We talk about these slugfests. Virginia and Texas Tech played an NCAA tournament finals a few years ago. It turned out to
true.
be a classic, and it wasn't all that high scoring either.
Somebody,
No,
I remember somebody tweeting out a writer beforehand how bad a game it was going to be, and it ended up
here's the
being a
thing.
great game.
For the first 8 minutes, I think it was 6-4, 8 minutes in, and then it ended up being literally an all-time classic. It was one of the only games where we had a shot made in the final 10 seconds that tied or changed
And
the
if we
lead.
have that again,
Yeah, I was going to say.
we need that.
A
We need
moment.
great games.
A moment. You need a
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
You need a half-court shot
Sure.
or a buzzer-beating three, which, look at the FAU San Diego State spread.
Right.
It's going to be a
which is
final possession
surprising.
game.
It is surprising it's only 2. I would have thought it was 4. But again, San Diego State plays such a low-scoring game.
Because you're hating
That's
on
why.
Florida Atlantic.
No,
you don't give any respect to the
I was
Owls and
there.
Dusty May.
I was
Hey,
in Boca.
You hate Dusty
I
May.
went to Boca. I hung out with
Did
them.
you
when
go
they
to
were-
Boca? Did you go to Boca?
When they were
Yeah.
hanging with as Theo says, a ventriloquist.
Yeah. Well, that's where retirees go, right? Huh? That's where retirees go. Is Boca?
They're gonna have-
You
they're
are
gonna have-
73 years old, so it makes sense.
I'm going to go to Boca from
No,
here.
he's
After
not
dealing with you
Larinagas
for,
age.
in Vegas and here, I may be headed to Boca for retirement.
They're going to have a wheelchair parade in Boca if FAU wins the next 2.
All right, we have a ton coming up on tonight's show. We'll have special guests throughout the week. We've got 6 consecutive days of coverage from different locations. Rob will give you the rundown, but we got special guests. We got Blue Blood Talk coming up in our second hour. What else do we have? There were rumors about some
Lot
sort of a
coaching
draft.
stuff. Oh, a draft. Yeah, we're going to do. No, we're not going to do the draft. We're cutting the draft today. Cutting the draft.
Yeah, get rid of it. Come up with good content. You know
I
what?
got plenty of content.
If you
we
want to know
got
what
plenty of content tonight.
if you want to know what it's like working with Jeff Goodman,
We got coaching
right?
changes.
We
We
come up
got
with a
guys
plan.
in the portal.
We come up with graphics. We come up with a plan, and literally, I'm over there getting myself a nice Hornitas ranch water from
Ranch
the bar
water.
from our lovely bartender.
There it is.
And then Trevor comes over, literally 3 minutes before the show starts, and goes, "Hey, just so you know, we're scrapping the player draft." And it's like,
Did you do that, Trevor?
yeah, just so
That
you
was
know,
supposed to be a
that's what's
surprise.
happening.
All right, let's get to content here. Let's get to the news. This has been one of the most active days in the coaching carousel.
Yeah,
Give
a
us
lot going on.
everything that you've taken away. I'm going to start with not a softball, but the obvious news here. The big news, Penn State, and they go with Mike Rhodes.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Home run hire. He's from the area, Lebanon Valley, done a great job at VCU, brings energy, and kind of follow up on what Micah Shrewsbury started there. And he'll play fast. He'll play a fun style, which you need to do at Penn State. We got almost $3.5 million a year to do it. VCU was capped out at about 2.1. So it was an easy move for him. Easy move for him. And then VCU, Ed McLaughlin, their AD, he's known about this for the last couple of days, right? Mike Rhodes is thinking about it. He's got his list anyway. And a little bit of a surprise move, he's going to finalize with Ryan Odom later today or tomorrow, who, again, got the huge win. He's kind of a regional guy who won the big game for UMBC, beating Virginia. Then he goes to Utah State in what was a baffling move.
Yeah, that was a strange one.
Well, he just felt like he couldn't get Wake,
Right.
couldn't get Georgia Tech, couldn't get some of those jobs after the win. Goes all the way out to the Mountain West, does a good job, and now he's coming back and making $2 million or so a year, which is pretty much double what he was making at Utah State. And he's back in an area that he's comfortable. That then maybe if he wins at VCU, he can then get a job in the ACC, which is what he wants.
Here's the thing that I thought was so curious about Rhodes getting the job at Penn State is it's a vastly different style than the rest of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And guys, that's needed. We've talked time and time again about what the Big Ten needs in order to get some success in March. That could be something, as you bring in new coaches, bring in different contrasting styles to where you have to adapt to some of these things. I think not only for Penn State it's a good hire, I think for the league it could also help things.
The big question I have is is he going to get the players that he needs to be able to win at that level in the Big Ten? I've always said that when you are a team that relies on pressure, that relies on forcing turnovers, and that relies on playing that style, it's very difficult. You're capped out at a certain point because at the end of the day, you're relying on the other team to make mistakes. And what happens when you have good point guard play? You don't make mistakes. So that's the one thing that I wonder about with the hire. But, I mean, Mike Rhodes knows how to build a culture. He knows how to develop a program over a long-term period. And
He'll be fine.
I don't know if this leads to Penn State winning the Big Ten. But I do think it needs to.
Well, no, hold on a minute. That's not what they're out to do.
Well, I'm just getting the tournament again.
What I was going to say is that this is going to get them into the tournament a couple times in the next 4 or 5 years.
I mean, again, and
that
you know what?
That's a good job.
That's the goal of Penn State.
Here's the key. Here's the big key. So Micah Shrewsbury, when he was negotiating with Notre Dame and Penn State gave him an offer with an increased NIL. Does Mike Rhodes become the beneficiary of that? Because if he does, then you got a good chance at Penn State. Without it, you're going to have trouble. I mean, Micah hit it. He hit it last year. Let's face it, nobody knew Andrew Funk was going to be that good, right? Nobody knew some of those transfers would be as good as they were. So I think, again, you
know
need
Jalen Pickett was going to translate his
Not
game
all
for
American.
Siena,
Right.
like
That's true.
he did.
Yes.
And he did it for 2 years straight.
I want to ask you this because it does stem off a question before we get to the rest of the carousel. Here we are at the Final Four. Here we are in another year where the Big Ten got a slew of bids. And nowhere to be found here. In fact, only one was able to break through to the second weekend. So Terrence Oglesby, as a basketball mind, as somebody who's watching this sport all the time, for the Big Ten fan out there, we have a lot
That's
of
not true. There was a Big Ten team in the Final Four. Wisconsin didn't score for the last 11 minutes.
Oh, stop. Yeah, and with that, the Big Ten basketball season ended.
And
with
it's over.
Wisconsin. I guess my question is for our Big Ten viewers and listeners out there who are like, what is it going to take for one of these teams to make it to the Final Four? What is the shift that needs to happen for us to see one of those schools, one of these years, get into the Final Four?
I think this is part of it. You kind of need new minds in there. You need new guys. A lot of those coaches have been there for a long time. Maybe not Underwood. He's kind of a little bit different. Shrewsbury was a little bit different. Rhodes was a little bit different. You need different people in the mix if you're a Big Ten school hoping that your conference starts to succeed a little bit. They're the same brand of basketball. What is it, 15, 16 teams in the league? 13 of which play the same style of basketball. They cover ball screens the same. They pressure the ball the same. You need variability in the league. That's what some of these other bigger leagues have. Big East has that. Mountain West has that. Just look up and down.
SEC has that.
SEC has that. ACC has that.
Right.
Big Ten is the only power conference that doesn't have variability and who is able to go. What's up?
By the way,
You're laughing.
I'm laughing because Randolph Childress heard it. He heard it, and he's fist pumping now in the booth. Because I know he's waiting. He is waiting like
There's nothing else we have to say. Hey,
I
world,
can feel it.
Look,
He wants to come out here and talk. Go ahead.
ACC has a team in the Final Four again after having 2 teams last year. We can go ahead and keep hating if we want to. We can go ahead and keep
but
worrying.
come on.
No,
It
Jeff,
was a mid-major league.
Jeffrey,
Just because you
Jeffrey,
get one team into the Final Four doesn't mean it was a great league.
Jeffrey, here's the deal.
Wait a minute. You just call him a mid-major league?
They were mid-major plus league this year.
That's a wild statement.
Oh, my
Them in the
goodness
Pac-12.
gracious.
That's a wild statement.
All right.
Oh.
All right.
So here's the thing. The bottom 3 teams in the league crushed everybody. Outside of that, it was competitive. And if you didn't think Miami was good all season, come on now.
Pitt had a chance to win the league.
They were good.
No, the ACC wasn't good.
I mean, did Pitt win game in the tournament? Did Pitt win games in the tournament?
They won a couple.
How many did they win
2.
in the NCAA? They
One
won
of them
two.
was a
They
first.
won 2 games in the tournament.
One of them was a first
Oh,
four.
man,
Is
just
a
keep
shell of what it was when you played.
You can keep
Am I
making.
wrong?
You can keep
Are
making.
you gonna debate that?
You can keep making
Are you
excuses
gonna
for
debate
facts.
the fact that the league is a shell of when you played?
North Carolina's a shell of when I played.
Okay.
Won't be for long.
There's still really good teams. It's just the wrong teams for Jeff Goodman to call it a good conference.
I mean, come on.
That's true.
Come on.
Randolph, do you want to tag in? Tag team?
He's coming.
You coming
Oh,
in?
he's waiting
Come on
his
in.
turn.
Come on in. I'll bring it back up here. I'll bring it back up
To me, it's just that the bottom was so awful. The bottom was so awful.
It drove
That's
all
why.
the analytics down.
Yes. When
Tremendously.
Florida State is so bad to start the year. And then Louisville, I mean, I was going to ask this. What is the honest expectation for Kenny Payne in year 2? Like for him to retain his job?
Go
Segue.
500. Go 500. If you can go
Think he will?
500.
At Louisville?
Overall. Yeah, go 500.
I think they need to make the NIT.
Oh, what? Yeah.
I think if he shows
Louisville?
progress, and again, you're going to go from winning, they won 4 games? 4-29. If you go from 4-29 to 16-16.
I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's that cut and dry. I think you need to see and believe that there is growth possible. If you go 16-16 and you win 13 games in the non-conference and then you're terrible in ACC play, that's a different conversation than going 16-16.
Well, sure, you can't win 2 games in ACC play.
Play a tough game, play a tough non-conference schedule, and then throughout the course of ACC play, maybe start 0-4, get to 500 by the end of the year, pick up a win over Duke, pick up a win over Carolina at some point. You need to have something there that makes you believe there's reason to be
16 wins would be enough.
Reason to be optimistic.
Yes,
I
you
think
need to be
16 wins,
optimistic.
however you get them, will be
and it's
enough.
not just having a bunch of transfers that come in and do this on 1 year. You need to start building that program back up. I don't think he needs to build a roster. You need to build a program and a culture so you can show that development. If you go 16-16 with a bunch of dudes that are going to be gone next year, like, what's the point? What are we doing here?
It'll be enough to save his job for another year. That's what I'm saying.
16-16 will?
Yes, I think it will. I think a former player like this who's beloved, who is beloved and a great dude, yes, I think that's enough to get a 3rd year.
All right, let's turn back to this Final Four because I had this big question for you. I specifically remember us coming on the air last week, and one of the first points made by Dr. Rob was that he felt as though
Kind of like Dr. Phil. Dr. Rob.
What are you a doctor in?
I don't know. What are you a doctor in?
Nothing. Where does this come from?
Wait, you're not an expert in anything?
Nothing.
0.
You
Nothing.
Yeah.
Parenthood?
Jack of all trades, master
Maybe
of none.
parenthood.
Well, I don't know about that. The guy slept till 11:42.
Oh, he did. That's true. Can't believe you.
No
Don't
comment.
blame it on your wife either.
No comment.
Don't blame it on Gabrielle.
No comment.
So last week he said these words. He said Connecticut is playing with house money in the Sweet 16.
That's a wild
So
statement.
about? I don't know.
are they playing with house money in the Final Four?
Yeah, absolutely.
No!
With this field,
Absolutely.
they're playing.
Unbelievable.
This is a wild.
Absolutely. There's
We
no
might have to
pressure on
tag
them
in
anymore.
RC right
They
now.
broke through.
All right.
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm glad we have it right
We
here.
did it.
I don't know if I can do that. Are you kidding me? It's not house money.
It is
house
not
money.
house money.
Not with this field.
Come on, man. They're
Not
the
with
heavy
this field.
favorite. Wake
They
up.
are.
heavy
They
favorite.
are the heavy favorite.
Exactly. That's
Saying they're playing with house money and they're the heavy.
They're not playing
they're
with
two
house
different-
money
they're two
now.
different things.
If they
Yes.
lose now, if
Yes.
they
It's
lost
disappointing.
to Miami,
It would be disappointing.
oh hell yeah!
But
It'd be
if they had lost to Iona, then there would be people sitting here saying Dan Hurley needs
I
to
know,
be
but
fired.
they're not playing with house money now. Things change.
They should win this.
I don't think you
change.
know the definition of house money.
We'll give it to you. Look it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Check it out.
Look it up. Look
read
up house money.
Read what house
Well-
money is.
You've covered Dan Hurley closely on this run and throughout the season. You know, he's true to himself. He is
Yeah.
who he is.
Yes, yes.
He'll tell it like it is. He says, I didn't grow, I'm not the glamorous Hurley. You know, I fought
Who
through
is?
Well,
Who's the glamorous Hurley?
you know,
Andrea.
I think
Andrea.
Andrea.
All right,
What
all
have
right, that's
you made
fair.
of this run for him? And when you
fair.
think about his brother and his dad,
Yeah.
what's this mean for Danny?
I mean, everything, because he's maniacal, right? Like, he'll admit he can't sleep. He can't deal with, before a game, the nerves and just pacing and not knowing. You know, they'll call each other, Dan and Bob, before a game just to try to settle each other down. It's amazing.
How about him telling us that all he did was cry before all the games in the Sweet 16 Elite Eight?
Cried, and he's not
He cried.
kidding. Like, this is a dude who isn't built like anybody else. The Hurleys are a different breed. They eat, breathe, sleep this game. They always have. And the pressure that's been on Dan, because, again, obviously Bobby was the player, right? Bobby was the star player. Bob Sr. was the coach. So it's like, what am I? Well, now you're the coach. You've gone to the Final Four. So I think it takes a little bit of pressure off Dan. But now the pressure's right back on because of who's in the field. So I think that's the hard part right now for Dan Hurley. He's done a hell of a job this year. They lost 6 of 8 at one point. Getting them back, I wasn't sure if he could do it. But I give a lot of credit to Dan and his staff.
Brendan Quinn did a fantastic
Awesome story.
article on him. If people haven't read it, that's one you need to pick up and go check out. It's on The Athletic. Sorry, go ahead.
We'll talk more about that and what this means for UConn. Are they a blue blood if they win a national championship on Monday night? The answer to that question to come. This is the Field of 68, live from the Final Four. Now a word from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy.
Today's episode of the Field of 68 After Dark is presented by our partners over at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's Final Four games. In pick'em, all you do is pick whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether it's points or rebounds or assists or all of them combined. If you're like me and you think Adama Sanogo is going to go nuts this weekend, pick higher on his points projection, pick higher on his rebounds projection, maybe throw in a lower on Matt Bradley's scoring totals, a higher on Isaiah Wong, whatever it is that you like. Put them all together, and if you hit them all, then you can win as much as 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured out how to use it. So go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, that's FIELD, to get a 100% deposit match up to $100.
We welcome you back to the Field of 68, live from Houston, folks. We're at Little Woodrow's. They're doing a great job here. Come and see us. Come stop by. Talk with us. We're here throughout the next couple of hours. We got special guests. We got Jeff Goodman. We got Randolph Childress. We got Rob Dauster. I'm John Fanta. Randolph Childress, we talked on Monday night. It's great to see you in person. It's great to have you here. By the last show with Jeff and Rob and Terrence, I said, we need Randolph on the ACC. We need some voice of wisdom here. So tell me what you made of his conversation that it's a mid-major plus?
I'm going to check his Coke here and make sure it's not spiked here in a minute. That's what I'm about to do. No, it's
Be honest where it is now as opposed to where it was.
well, when? Like, I'm not going to
At
go
any
back
point, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 100 years ago when you played.
It's that's pretty damn good, Jeff. I'll give you that one. That was a good one. I'm not going to go back that far.
Man.
But no, I'll say this. The league is in transition from names. We've lost Hall of Fame coaches. If you're comparing it to a time when all the legend coaches was there, it's different. But I think they're hitting on the right coaches. I don't think it was as down as everybody else portrays because I never believed all the other conferences were as good as everybody said they were. Meaning, we talked about the Big 12. Everyone agreed all year long the Big 12 was the best conference in the year. But yet the SEC and Big 10 got more teams in the tournament.
Mm-hmm. All right, wait a minute. So that's a great point. Which ACC coach do you believe will be next to lead their program to the Final Four?
I mean, I guess I'll go Jon Scheyer here.
Next
year?
year?
He's doing a hell of a job recruiting. He did a great job. RC and I talked about, what he did to kind of get that team, and they dealt with injuries. As a rookie head coach, it was damn impressive this year, wasn't it?
It was. If it wasn't for Tang and some of these guys and such the hype,
you'd have him in the mix.
You'd have him in the mix. You'd have him in the mix.
It's amazing. Honestly,
he did.
Way
He did
better
a hell
than
of
I
a job.
thought he'd do this
Hell
year.
of a job.
Yeah.
He did.
Why is that?
I mean, just everything he dealt with, right? You're at Duke. You got to replace the legend, not a legend, the legend. You do it in a way that I think
he did his
even
way.
keel, right? And that team needed it. They had a bunch of young dudes, and a couple of them were hurt, Whitehead and Lively, preseason, during the season. And then you're dealing with guys that all think they're going one and done.
I don't know if you're ever going to be able to think of a situation where a guy had more pressure taking over a job.
Right.
Ever.
Ever.
And going forward, it's because it's a blue blood and because he followed Coach K. You can't make that up. And we said this a year ago. I said, because of the success that Hubert had the year before, no one had more pressure on them this year than he did.
I disagree with you. I disagree.
I don't know why. How?
Who had more?
With what part?
Who had more?
Because of the transition, Coach K's transition to Scheyer was really smooth. Jay Wright's
But he still
transition.
had it.
Jay Wright's transition to Kyle Neptune was not.
No.
You think Cal Neptune had more pressure on him?
He has more, and now has even more pressure going into year two.
He has more pressure
An
now
immense
because of the
amount. An
results.
immense amount.
Now, not coming into the year. No way.
No, because
No way.
the other thing was that his
No
I
best
think we
player
all
was
knew
hurt.
Scheyer would have
It's
success.
Duke. It's K.
We didn't know.
We
Scheyer
didn't
would
know
have
that.
success,
I
though.
disagree
What-
with that.
Heading into the
Fanta.
season.
did not know.
Well, my
We did
issue
not
was
know.
because of the success that Hubert had going to the championship.
Because it was Hubert?
It didn't matter. He followed up Williams and he took them to the finals. And then so now you come back, you're the guy. You're tabbed as the guy, and again, with a complete, this guy started 5 freshmen, and none of them was Paulo Banchero.
Right,
None of
right.
them was Zion Williamson. He started 5 freshmen, and his best player was the one that they didn't think was going to play much coming into the season. I just think he did a hell of a job, and if you look at
Way
it in
more
totality,
pressure.
I
Way
do
more
too.
pressure than
I
Cal
don't think
Neptune. Not
anybody
even
has
close.
had
Way
more.
more
I
pressure.
don't
Way
think
more
anybody's
pressure.
had more pressure
It's
than him.
Duke.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
one.
no,
No one.
You're a
Here's-
Big East boy.
Here's,
one.
here's the thing.
So
no, no.
I get it. You
Hey.
they look at it a little differently. It is Duke and Coach K. No offense
I
to
think
Jay
Duke
Wright.
can run itself.
Really?
I'll give
I
you.
mean,
I'll tell
they
you
can,
why.
They can run itself recruiting wise. That you're
think
going to
he
get
did
top 50
no,
players.
I think you could both say he did a nice job in year one, but I
he did a
expect
better
he was
than
poised-
nice.
He was. Well,
Fanta.
hold on a minute. He lost in the first week of the NCAA tournament. Let's not go overboard on
He still-
better than nice.
He still did a hell of a job.
With
He
the
did a hell of
injuries
a
that
job.
they had,
Right.
He did a good job.
I think it was better than good.
Look, I know
I
that
think
he
it's better
didn't
than
win the award, but Jon Scheyer would have been my ACC Coach of the Year. Because if you look at what he dealt with in terms of injuries, in terms of youth, in terms of everything else, getting these guys ready to play, and
Oh, come on.
if the officials knew what the hell they were doing, he would have been the ACC regular season
Now, did
champion.
Capel win it, T.O.?
now-
Who won the ACC Coach of the Year? Capel?
Capel won it.
Capel deserved to win the ACC
I'm not,
Coach
listen,
of the
I'm
Year
not
award.
questioning that he did, but I voted for Cable. I don't disagree with you, but he's one bad call away at the end of a Virginia Tech game of finishing in first place, and I think the whole perspective of his voting changes
and their seed changes.
and their seed changes going into the ACC tournament and NCAA tournament
And here's-
if they're number 1 seed.
To me, this is the thing that sets it apart for Scheyer for me, is that he adjusted what he was doing to the pieces that he had when he had them. It wasn't just like what we brought in. It's like, okay, now we got Jeremy Roach hurt. I got to put Tyrese Proctor.
How
at
about
the
what he
point.
did in November and December, right? Playing.
Yes, he benched his guys. He benched his starting freshmen.
his
Like,
dudes.
it took a
Who
lot of
does
balls.
that?
Really nice job.
Fanta.
Yes.
I didn't believe in my lifetime that a non-Duke player
Yeah.
would be coaching on that staff.
Okay.
Anytime
That was a
soon
big
in
move.
my lifetime.
That was a
And
great
he
move.
did that.
Right.
I mean, the thing,
He's done a lot.
He did a lot and was bold enough to make the program
I'm
his.
not trying to
And I
rip
think it's
on
only
John.
gonna get
I'm not
better.
trying to. I think John's. Oh, I think they could be argued as the number 1 team in the country heading into next year, if not
who
top
knows?
5.
Yeah, who
But
knows?
they're going to be in the top 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
The return of Proctor. By the end of the year, how good was Proctor?
Proctor's going to, like, I would not be shocked if he was a first-team All-American.
I will have him as a preseason first team
Yeah.
All-American.
Yeah.
There it is.
Right? Well,
I won't
Well,
argue
loved
that.
him.
I mean, he's
well,
good.
you liked him in the
Sorry,
preseason.
Tyrese.
I'm a big fan.
Well,
of him.
no, I mean, here's the thing. He's going to put on some weight.
But
He
John,
was
you
supposed
really
to be a high school senior. Look what he
He's
did at the end of the
supposed to be
year.
Right.
He was so
We're
good
arguing
down the
two
stretch.
different things.
What are you arguing?
I'm arguing that the transition, Jon Scheyer was extremely involved. This was methodically
Oh, wait.
prepared.
You're telling me that Goodman is arguing two different things?
I'm not.
No, I'm not. He's not. I am. I am. Go ahead. Jump in. Go ahead. Jump in. Jump in. I thought the transition was well done by Duke. That was my point.
See, better than Villanova's.
That's my
because
point.
there was no foresight. However, here's my issue: is there was never Jon Scheyer is going to be the head coach. He's never going to take over practice. He was Coach K's assistant. He was completely a first-year head coach. I think taking away from that would be wrong in doing so. Does that make sense? So to say that Kyle Neptune wasn't in the same boat, I think would be wrong.
Also, Kyle Neptune's pressure was alleviated without
he was
Justin
already
Moore.
a whole he was
without
already
Justin
a
Moore
head
and
coach.
Whitmore to start the year.
He was already a head coach.
A lot of
John.
pressure off him.
He knew what was about to happen. What John did was much more impressive than what Kyle Neptune
People
did.
want Kyle
No
Neptune.
question.
I mean, there are people out there who don't
Well,
think
that's
Kyle.
stupid. That's
I'll-
ridiculous.
I'll
That-
ask you this.
They were much better down the stretch.
If they're healthy from the entire season, are we having the same conversation about Kyle Neptune?
Well, we shouldn't have one to begin with.
No, I'm just saying, if he has his full complement of roster,
No,
he
they
had in
probably
the
make
year,
the tournament.
Then they make the tournament, and we're not having this
They-
conversation.
yeah, they-
And we're not saying
It's
he
a
should be out
dumb
or anything.
conversation anyway.
Yeah, we're not having
I
a
mean, come
conversation
on.
like it's negative, but I'm saying the impression as far as his first year. That's all we're talking about. The impression of what you thought his first year was like. Because right now we're like, oh, he has to do so much better next year. And had he had Justin Moore for the full year, they're in the tournament, and then it's just another Villanova year.
Now there's a lot of pressure on him year 2. Who's playing for them?
Well, that's the big question now is they got to go portal
gotta go
hard.
portal.
And that's not a program that they better have NIL. They're not a NIL program at their core. They're not a transfer portal program at their core. They're going to have to adapt.
You covered Jon. The only thing I would say is you covered Jon closely as a player. You've known him for a long time. You talk with anybody around him, and you've talked with more people around him than I have, but the consensus was this guy's going to find a way to have success at Duke.
I guess, but he was like the last pick. Like he was never even under consideration until the very end when, honestly, Chris couldn't give it to Wojo. He was fired. Couldn't give it to Chris Collins. He was in the hot seat. Capo was in the hot seat. Amaker really didn't want it. I know everybody says, well.
They won't give it to JD.
Right.
Imagine if this was the offseason and K retired after Capo wins ACC Coach of the Year. Does he get the job?
Oh, great question.
That'd be a hell of a decision.
Good, very good
That's
question.
my point. And that could easily flip. You bring him back home. I mean, it's
Good question.
There was options there, and I don't think anybody, because all those guys ran out of there thinking I needed to have head coaching experience before I got the job.
You know what? If we agreed with each other on everything, this wouldn't be a fun show. I appreciate the debate. Now I have to ask you this. Hubert Davis said what he probably was always going to say in that it wasn't as bad as people are saying. We still won 20-plus games.
Boy.
Your reaction.
Hubert is the eternal optimist.
Yes, he is.
I mean, he is, so he probably believes it.
What does he have to do year 3?
I mean, they got to get back to being relevant. Well, first things first, they better get some help for Armando Bacot and R.J. Davis. That's no disrespect, but better than bringing in Ivy League players as transfers. They better bring in some dudes. They better bring in some guys, load up. You know, they lost a lot of their bench as well. I mean, I don't even know how many guys they have left on the roster right now, but you got two that really, Bacot and R.J., you're going to build around. I like both of those guys. I think, again, to me, Caleb Love, that ran its course. I think it's best for both sides that Caleb Love go elsewhere. That will help. Pete Nance never really worked with this team and this group. So they got a lot of work to do in the portal.
They do.
What's
they do.
the state of Carolina?
I do think that they have a better foundation now, right? They have the guys that gave you a certain level.
Yeah.
Like you knew how good you were going to be with R.J. Davis and Armando Bacot, which is about here. You need guys around them to lift that ceiling. And the thing was, in 2022, Caleb Love was that guy to lift your ceiling. I feel like in 2023, he was trying to do too much, trying to showcase who he was.
I think he was the same. I actually don't think he was much different. I just think he had a couple of huge games when it mattered most. But before March 5th, how different you think he was?
It was like early February when they started that run.
Yeah.
Everyone started paying attention after they beat Duke and Cameron, but it was before that they started making that run. So it was probably a good 6 to 8 weeks that he was really, really good.
I think they struggled across the board. They struggled. They never replaced Brady Manning shooting, and everybody else struggled. I mean, everybody across the board. Leaky Black. People don't realize this. Leaky Black shot 40% from three. Leaky Black did, an ACC player a year ago. So, and then you had R.J. Davis and Caleb Love that shot in the upper 30s. They were like 38, 39% from three.
They could not.
And then this year, they regressed back to their freshman year, and they just never replaced Brady Manning and Leaky Black. So the three-point shoot, and you just didn't have to guard them.
That's not, to me, that wasn't a result of them being bad shooters. That was a result of the shots that they were taking.
I think they took the same. That's why I disagree. I think they took the same shots.
You do?
They did.
I think Caleb did.
I think Caleb did because I think he takes too much
agree.
pressure. He's taking a lot of the blame when I think everyone around him struggled as well. And I think he's the guy everybody's kind of like,
Well, we expected RJ to be better.
Yeah, we expected him to be.
Right,
We did.
right.
And we thought that all of them would be better, even Bacot for that matter.
Armando, I thought, like, okay, if he does what he did the previous year, they're fine.
Well, get him the ball. Get him the ball.
And part of it was on him, but
Some of
yes,
it was
you're
on
right. You're right. But
I mean, you feed the beast.
and
for
they
heaven's
did,
sake.
They did some of the time. It didn't fit. It just didn't fit, whether it was, the fact that they had no pressure the year before to being the hunted, and they just couldn't handle that. They just didn't have the personalities and the chemistry.
That's
to be able to
exactly
handle
what
that.
it was. They didn't have anyone that took ownership over that team. You ask anybody around that program, RC, you're closer to them than any of us were. Ask anyone around that program what changed and what made it flip last year. And that was Brady Manning taking ownership of that team and setting a tone where it's like, we're not going to do that dumb shit. we're going to play the way that we're supposed to play. They didn't have that guy this year. Like Caleb
They
Love,
weren't having fun.
Yes.
They were not having any
No,
fun,
no.
even when they were winning.
No, no.
It was like,
I also
Like, we
do you
can't
I
let
think there was a
loose.
level of pressure that they found,
Right.
and it like once it kind of spiraled, they were never able to get it back.
No.
And like last season, they were never at that level. They didn't have that kind of expectation, right? So they were able to come in, and once it got going, like it was fun. It was like, oh shit, North Carolina's good again. But this year, once they lost the game, and they lost a bunch of close games early to good
did.
teams that we didn't realize how good they were, right? And then it just kind of started to spiral, and I was like, this isn't fun. This isn't working. We just want this to be over. We're not going to make it. And it got to the point where it's just like, look, some people need a fresh start. Caleb Love needs a fresh start. I got a question for you guys. There's obviously a talented player there. People that could score 27 points and a half in a Final Four game against Duke with that talent,
Yeah,
like, he's a player.
of course.
Where do you see him going, RC? Where do you want him to go that you can unlock that?
Who's that?
Caleb
Love.
Love. Because we had a couple ideas last night. I said Arkansas would make a lot of sense to me, because that is a place where Muss will coach up confidence in players, and he will put them in a position where you're going to go one-on-one on this night and just go get a shot up, and if you don't miss it, we're going to go back to you again. If you don't make it, we're going to go back to you
I think
again.
you're going to have to be incredibly patient with him initially, because you're going to have to, if you're asking him to guard and do a lot of different things he didn't do consistently, and how do you change shot selection without benching guys?
you need depth.
You know,
need depth to be able
how
to
do you
bench
do
him.
that? Like, you have to be
'Cause they
able.
never did that.
You never.
Hubert never
yes. You know, you can take those shots. One, he's always. See, I think he's always taking those shots. He just didn't make them. Like
Well, then why would I want him in my
They're
program?
bad shots. A lot
If
of them
he-
are bad
because
shots.
he's explosive.
Okay.
Because he's explosive, and if you can eliminate the.
You had to rely on
Well, that's
him
just
too
it. Can a
much.
coach
Yes.
reason with him? Is he a player that can be reasoned with?
I think he's taken way too much criticism.
Okay.
I feel like,
Okay, but-
I'm not saying we are, but I just feel like everybody feels like
I agree with
because
you.
he's now leaving, like he was the reason. Everyone down the line, I think, even to Armando, did not play to the level that they was playing with.
100%.
And three-point shooting where teams didn't have to guard him. You just didn't have to guard him. It's a totally different team from a year ago that shot the ball so well, and then it freed up Armando.
Hey, we've got a break. Coming up after this, we'll turn back to this Final Four. How has Grandpa Jim Larinaga figured all this out? Back-to-back Elite Eights and now the first Final Four in Miami basketball history. Plus, is Connecticut a blue blood? He'll answer that question. This is the Field of 68 from the Final Four.
You guys ever get tired of trying to prove that you won an argument, that your takes weren't hot, they were just right? Well, I have an answer to all of your problems. Vaulted is a new sports prediction app that turns your opinions into facts. You can store all of your predictions and hot takes in your own vault now and forever. Challenge your friends, keep track of the results, and prove that you are, in fact, the smartest one in the room. Vaulted is also releasing a Final Four competition called their Last Four Pool. What amounts to a hot take challenge, it has a $5,000 prize pool. Who doesn't like free money? I like free money. So if you like free money like me, then go and download the Vaulted app at the link below, sign up for your free 3-month trial, and store your predictions now and forever. You know what the best part about the end of the college basketball season is? That signifies the start of spring, the start of summer, the start of hot weather, the start of late nights, the start of weekends on the water, and the best way to stay refreshed during the summer months is with Hornitos Ranch Water, a premium sparkling cocktail with a balance of freshly squeezed lime paired with smooth tequila notes. Hornitos Tequila is a 100% agave premium tequila from the lowlands of Jalisco. It's specifically from the town of Tequila. Originating from one of the most historic distilleries, Hornitos paved the way for all future tequila brands, starting with the tequila name. An official partner of the Houston Astros, you can buy Hornitos Ranch Water in a can, or you can come to Houston's best sports bar, Little Woodrow's in Edo, and get a fresh, handmade cocktail with Hornitos Tequila. There's nothing better on a warm spring day than Hornitos Ranch Water and a Houston Astros baseball game.
We welcome you back to Little Woodrow's Edo. Little Woodrow's Edo. We are at 2019 Walker Street in Houston, Texas, zip code 77003. We're from Houston. This is night 1 of 6. Let's see if we can put up with each other for 6 consecutive nights.
We got our tequila.
Yeah, that's what it's going to take.
We have our balls.
That's what it's going to take.
And we have some Jim Beam.
Terrence, Oglesby, Randolph, Childress, Rob Dauster, John Fanta. We're presented by Bet Rivers. We're presented by Underdog Fantasy. Dagan Hughes is our producer. He's even got his own camera. Dagan, how's our chat?
Incredible.
How's our chat? Check in with our fans. How's everybody doing tonight?
They're wondering about Kim English. They're not wondering.
not?
I saw 4 questions in there.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Oh.
Terrence,
Huh.
not an avenue. First off, Kim English got introduced today to a
He
full
did.
house.
It was
It was
packed.
packed.
How about that?
It was packed.
It was so much nicer than that closet they interviewed in Ed Cooley to start with.
Terrence, Oglesby, do not get all that.
Hey,
going.
Providence brought the heat,
Before
baby.
we move on, I have a question.
Oh,
RC,
boy.
T.O.
Yo.
Oh,
RC,
boy.
T.O. Both of you guys have coached and played at a high level,
Sure.
at a high major level. Ed Cooley, when he went to Georgetown, he's already brought one former Providence commit with him.
Two.
There was a
Two.
two former 4-star commits with him. Kim English, when he left George Mason to Providence,
Brought
he's
two
already
with him.
brought 2 transfers with
Not
him.
normal.
It is normal.
I'm joking.
I was going to
Oh.
say, is there a problem with that?
Not at all.
Okay. Can you explain to the people that are watching why?
No, well, you want to go first?
Go ahead.
You sure?
Go ahead.
I want you to go first.
Guys go to school to play for a coach.
Yes.
I know I'm shocking to hear fans, react this way, but you go to a school for the coach.
Yep.
And it's beneficial for the coach, flip side, because especially not the freshmen, because Cooley brought in a couple of freshmen, but it's beneficial for the coach to bring in some guys from his previous stop because it expedites you implementing your
Learning curve.
culture and your learning curve to where you have somebody that's on the team that guys can look to that have already been through, learn the terminology. There's a lot of change.
Yeah.
Kim English is a good young coach. He's a stud. We said it earlier this season. We did it on the DTF podcast after I got an opportunity to do George Mason and Dayton. I was like, man, Kim English,
He's good.
somebody's going
He's
to
big
get a
time.
stud from this guy. And you're going to bring guys to expedite the learning curve and to have somebody that the guys will look to whenever there's some initial confusion.
Here's the thing on today, on Kim English's introduction. That scene in Providence, that crowd in Providence, their practice facility, for those who have never been in it, I'm telling you, it's as good as any facility that you're going to find in the country. Their practice facility is phenomenal.
Yep.
They're just going at Cooley, man. That's a dig at Cooley. That's
They're
all
digging
that
at
was.
Cooley.
That's all that
They're
was.
digging at Cooley.
Sold out house, baby.
Cool. Oh, it's going to be wild when that'll be one of the wildest. I mean, that might be right now the most anticipated
Yeah.
game of next season from a pure
Yes.
hostility standpoint.
Do you know who will be there for that game?
well,
The
we'll be
field
there.
of 68 will be broadcast. I don't care when it is. I don't care who else is
been up
playing
there?
that day.
I have. I'm here
will
for the
be
Our
Petty.
there.
competitors will be
Almost went
broadcasting
there.
from there as well.
They call
I
you
don't care about
Pettywop.
competitors.
I'm just joking.
Fuck them.
Oh boy, okay, all righty. Well, his words, not mine. Here's the thing. You know what? It's, to me, as much as there's that arguing about which job's better, which school's better, I'm not here to. Here's the fact.
Do you want me to answer that question?
Here's the fact. Well, if you really want to do that,
I
go
know
ahead.
what Goldblum says.
What is Goldblum?
Goldblum?
It's Goonblum.
Oh, Goonblum.
Goonblum. Jeff
Goonblum.
Goonblum.
Go ahead, you two. You haven't weighed in. I've
ahead.
talked enough about this stuff.
What do you think?
I never listen.
Don't you play
I've been
nice. They'll come after you.
He's walking it back.
No, I'm not walking it back at all. Because Jeff and I said this last year, we thought that Cooley would be the first choice to take away. So do I think the jobs are even or not? Because the difference is every great coach that they've had has been a stepping stone, just historically.
Barnes, Donovan,
Everyone, Patino.
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 So if the jobs were equal,
It's ready-made to
people
win.
wouldn't leave and go somewhere else.
Right.
You don't see people historically leave Georgetown for another job. That's just the easiest way I can explain it to you.
To me, though, to cap this point off, and then I want to get back to UConn, Miami.
Providence is
Watch it.
ready-made to win, too. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it is, and that's hence the huge fan base that was there. They're reinvigorated both off the Cooley, but off of the fact that they've won a lot. Kim English is a great hire for them because his energy will reflect the way the town is. He's already said it. You know, we're going to be amped up. Kim's a marketer. He's into mindset. He's tweeting. He's playing guys one-on-one right now. He gets
For their
it.
commitment.
At the risk
He's
of
good for
sounding,
Providence.
at the risk of sounding like
Love and
Goodman,
basketball.
At the risk of sounding like Goodman, that dude just gets how to be himself and gets how to have people like him, right?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He understands what it takes to be someone that shows up on Twitter, that has these viral clips that pop up on ESPN. Like, he just gets it.
And that's great because that's Providence. Providence has an extremely passionate fan base, and you're right, winning has been in place there. Providence, anything can be done at Providence.
Everybody's won at Providence.
Everybody.
It's a ready-made situation to win 20 to 22 games.
All right, let's transition here.
Oh, you want me out of there now?
Go ahead.
No,
wanna finish?
you want it out. This is your show, Cowboy. I'm with you. No, I think it's a job that's ready-made to win 20 to 23 games on a given year because of the fan support, because of the energy around the program. The energy never leaves.
I think
That's
Ed
true.
Cooley just felt
That's
as though
the thing.
I took it as high as I could take it.
Stay ahead of the mob.
I took it as far as I can take it, and
Stay
as
ahead
far
of the
as
mob.
it can go.
And
then
that
now
takes
let
on
me
a whole
move on.
different meaning.
Hey,
that takes
have
on
you-
a whole different meaning at Providence. But that means stay ahead of the mob. I stay ahead of the mob like
careful.
everybody gets fired. In this business, everybody gets fired.
Well, he was never going to get fired at Providence.
You don't know that.
Oh, come on.
He has two
no,
14
he
and
was
16
never going to get
seasons.
fired at
Is he
Providence. That's a
keeping his job?
ridiculous take.
I
can't
think he
believe
created
just
a
said
standard.
stay
We're now
created
having
a
two
standard.
separate conversations. All right, let's transition here. So if
I
Connecticut,
love Federal Hill.
I do too.
Sorry.
I hope I'm allowed back. That
You might not be.
Casarino's chicken parmesan is calling my name.
God.
I mean, I can't be banned. I can't be banned from Federal Hill, Rob.
You're not banned from Federal
Okay.
Hill. They'll get over it.
I love the angel hair.
You love Angel Hair?
I love angel
It is
hair.
good.
Fanta, the only reason anybody was mad at you is because Portnoy said to be mad at you. And once, like, those 20 people that
They're
are
still. Oh
idolizing-
no. The mentions today are not good. They're all wondering what they say that I spited Providence by not being at the press conference today.
You did.
You didn't.
You did.
didn't
You
go there.
big-timed him.
You know where he was? You know where he was
You
at
big
Cooley's
timed him.
press conference?
Where?
Front row, baby. Front row.
Oh, Denver Cooley. Yeah.
I was in row 6.
He
Enough
was
out
in
of you.
front row.
Enough out of you.
You had the private interviewer in the back.
Let's get to the most important
Hold
discussion.
on. Row 6? Fox can't afford to pay you and put you in first class?
There were not.
Hey, look, you need a better agent.
We're talking about the press conference, not where I sat on my flight.
He sat in the front row of Cooley's press conference.
No, didn't he just say? No, he said I was in row 6.
Of the press conference.
press
seating.
conference.
Oh, I thought you were talking about row 6
It's
on flight.
Dagan's like. Now, Dagan, you flew with him today. What did he do this morning?
No one can
put him
hear
in the-
Dagan talk.
He put Dagan in the toilet.
Oh, they can't
No one
hear
can
you?
hear Dagan talk.
All right, let's get to the most important question of the night.
All right.
Randolph Childress.
Yes, sir.
Is UConn a blue blood?
No.
I actually agree with Randolph.
You don't think UConn's a
I
blue
agree
blood?
What
with
if they
Randolph.
win this week? It'd be 5 national
Let me
titles
say
since
this. Let me say
1999.
this.
They've got more
If-
titles since '99 than anybody.
Yeah,
Two
but
more
they're
if they
cutting it
win
off.
this week.
No,
Here-
so you
RC,
just,
here's why. This is why they are not yet a blue blood, but why
yeah,
David
but yet.
Hurley has a chance to get him there. Because no, listen, this is why.
Listen to
There's
downplaying
basically a
UConn.
15 to 18 year window where they were one of the best programs in college basketball. And I'm not talking about like the early 90s when they made it to Sweet 16s. I'm not talking about like getting to an Elite Eight with Tate George. I'm talking about national titles. I'm talking about top 5. I'm talking about where you go into every season with the expectation of being a Final Four contender. Not just a team like, hey, you know, if we get the right draw, maybe it'll work out for us. There was a 15-year stretch where that was them, and that was all Jim Calhoun. If you want to be a blue blood, it can't be one coach getting you there for like a 2-decade stretch. It's got to be something where you go from Dean Smith to Roy Williams. It's got to be something where you go from Roy Williams to Bill Self. Where it's got to be something where you are Kentucky and you're winning titles over the span of 60 years. It doesn't matter who your coach is, right? There's got to be something where with Duke, like look at what Duke did with Coach K, right? They won something in the 80s. They won something in the 90s. They won something in the 2000s. They won something in 2015.
It's 5 decades, wasn't it?
hey,
5 decades,
I'll
yeah.
say this. Your blue bloods, in my opinion, when kids come from all over the country, no matter who was the coach, no matter what was going on, and go to those schools. And I don't think they've done that yet with UConn. Listen, they're great. No issues with them. But name me a kid that's come from Midwest or West to come no matter who's coaching. It doesn't matter.
They do have
For
one of the
who?
best recruiting classes in the country.
For
coming in.
Georgetown?
No,
Or for
UConn.
UConn?
They have one of the best
took a
recruiting
Fat
classes in the
Five.
country.
They took a Fat
I don't
Five
want to.
picture.
I don't want to be mean to RC, so I'm not going to do it. But if you want to talk about a national recruiting class,
Listen.
you want? Hey,
They have
Stacey,
I'm going to be. I'm going to
Castle.
be. I'm going to be nice to you, and I'm not going to embarrass you.
No.
in this
Trust
moment,
me.
okay?
No.
Look at me. I'm taking the professional way.
Take a
out.
professional way out of
I'm being
it. I
the bigger
appreciate
man
that.
way. I'm not going to tell
Taking
you
a
that.
professional
Well, that's
way out all the way
that's a
from
I'm not going
first.
to tell you about the 5-star they got coming in from Georgia. I'm just not going to tell you about that.
Well, I played with his dad at Wake. So trust
you-
me, I
so
know
you
him
should
well.
know.
I know him well.
You don't have any
I know him well. His
What
dad
is-
played with me at Wake.
Do you think? I'm going to ask
Hey,
Rob
hey,
this
did you see
first.
that flex, by the way?
Oh, he totally flexed.
I played with his dad at
No.
Wake. Okay.
I'm just letting you know I knew who you were talking about. That's all.
Yeah, okay. Here's my thing. In your opinion, in what world is Miami winning Saturday night?
In what world?
Yeah, like do you
It
think
happened
they'll
in
win?
this world.
Do you
It
think they'll
happened
win?
in this world.
I don't think that they'll win, but I think that it's very possible for them to win. Here's what
Why?
basically needs to happen. Two things need to happen. One, Norchad needs to have like one of those 20-20 games where he goes nuts.
Possible.
Where he's a great rebounder. He dominates the paint. He doesn't allow Sanogo to get position on him. If he is the best big man on the floor, Miami's got a chance. Then you need two of Isaiah Wong, Nigel Pack, Jordan Miller to go nuts. And I'm talking like 30.
Well, they both can. They can do that.
You need them to go nuts because I don't think that Miami's going to be able to stop UConn. I think if you want to go to Bet Rivers, find the UConn team total, whatever it is, take the over on it because they're putting up 85 tomorrow.
They putting up what?
They're putting up 85 on Miami. Miami wants to get up and down. They'll get up and down.
But the game might be 88-85.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Miami
It
has
needs to be for Miami to have a shot.
Yeah, if Norchad can hold his own in the paint
Yep.
and the guards go nuts. And I'm just not just talking about like they have like 18 and 5.
No,
I'm
but
talking
Rob-
about like 30.
3 straight games. Wait, 3 straight games. How many teams can say this?
Hey, Fanta.
Three-
I'm going to be professional here.
Well, hold on. 3.
Using Rob's line.
Can I get the notes before you do that?
No, go ahead, please.
3 straight games. They've had 3 different players, Miller, Wong, and Pack, go for at least 26 points.
That's big.
All right.
I think they need 2 of them. don't
What's
you?
your line?
I think Miami wins the game.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Randolph Childress has declared Miami's winning Saturday night.
That's I'm seriously. Listen. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think everybody's
I do too.
taking this role. And I said this the other night. You're going off of how UConn has played in this tournament, and they've blown
Look
everybody out. They've been great.
I'm with you. Hey,
I'm-
I'm with
there
you.
you go.
I'm with you.
You're picking Grandpa?
Miami's
I'm picking
Miami's resume in this tournament is probably more impressive. Look at who they beat to get here. They weren't favored to beat Drake.
Yeah, but Connecticut's won by a combined 90 points.
They beat Iona and St. Mary. If we played them again, you would pick them to win those games.
I'll
by
twist this on you because I agree with this.
no,
If it's a close game,
No,
UConn
listen.
hasn't been in a close
that.
game.
No, that's my point.
Yeah, not
and
a
what's
great
the
close game
what's
team.
the concern we have with UConn in close games?
Their guard play.
Who can
Yeah,
create the
guard
shot?
play.
Who is going to create a shot
I don't
against
think-
their switching when they can't drop a play to get a shot? When they
I
got to
don't-
give
I
the
don't
ball to
think-
somebody.
I don't think that it matters against Miami because I don't think Miami has good enough defenders. Miami's got to put up 90 to beat them. And Miami can put up 90 very easily
Nothing
against
up to
anybody in the
90.
country.
And I
I don't
think
think they're
listen,
gonna put
Rob,
90.
the
Yeah,
reason
do.
the reason why I
90,
think it's a
Because they're not gonna
dangerous
stop them.
game
They're not going to stop them.
from a style standpoint is
I think
because
they
UConn hedges
They
every
got to
ball
score
swing.
80.
Yeah.
And now, when you get that ball moving, as Miami will, they're going to be driving closeouts. They're going to score. It's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, that's
There's
exactly
no
what
question
I'm
about it.
saying.
I think the
And-
difference will be if they completely dominate them inside, dominate them in the glass. Miami's got to get some turnovers and turn them over, but it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I
Miami's going to
know. I
score.
100% agree with that, and that's why I'm saying like if Nigel Pack and Isaiah Wong both go nuts, Miami can win. Like they got a very real chance to win that.
I don't
game.
think they need to go nuts.
Who, Goodman?
dropping. Yeah, well,
I don't know. They was trying
They
to be
looked
Goodman,
really
but-
good in Vegas.
so Jeff's got Miami
UConn
too.
looked- hold on. UConn looked really good.
Jeff's
in
just
Vegas.
now. Hey,
they
hey,
look good.
guys,
They looked as good.
They look good. They are
as
good.
I've seen a team play.
Who?
who?
UConn in the last
Oh, they're.
since probably Baylor.
Oh,
When
I
Baylor-
agree with
when
you.
They are playing as well as anybody has played
Hey,
in the last 3 to 4 years.
Can I play devil's advocate, though?
Yeah.
You play an Arkansas team that we know can't shoot from me to you.
That's a good line.
I'm just.
That's a good line. That's a good line.
I'm not exactly.
Are you saying they would struggle on the pop-up shot here to the left?
I guarantee you, I'd take my chances with the 4 of us on that than I would.
I would
Arkansas
beat-
perimeter shooting.
I would beat
and I'm not saying they're not good.
Ricky
but
Council.
That's all right. I'll take your chances.
Not as
I would just like to
bouncy,
say for the
but
record,
sure.
we already tried to play that Papa shot, and when it pops up and you see that last score and it says 20,
Wow.
Dagan Hughes.
I believe
Not
you,
Oh,
Not
he's
the
a
best
shooter
baller.
in the world.
I
He's a
believe
baller.
Not
At
the
Seton
best-
Hall, he
not
was
the
a
best shooter in
baller.
the world.
It's
Not the best
Hoover.
shooter in the world.
Just for reference, the high score is 75. If Dagan got 20,
It's 80.
there
Hey,
was
it's
no
the
reference.
first day that it's been here, T.O.
There
You
wa-
can go set it. You could set it.
There was no
set it
reference
high.
point there. I'm just giving reference. That's all. No, UConn play. They're playing as well as any team I've seen since Baylor. Truth be told, they're
I
that
do.
good.
I agree.
However, they haven't been in a close game of the tournament. And one thing we do know is that RC picked Iona to beat UConn. Don't let him get away with that, Fanta.
Who said that? Who said that? King
Angie.
Angie got you,
And
baby.
excuse me, Randy.
I said I
Hey,
did.
hold on.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Randy. Randy says I went to Best Cuts. Randy, I
don't
have.
know about that one.
Someone does this, Randy. Why don't go to Best Cuts?
I don't
Randy.
either. I don't either. Hey,
I didn't say UConn wasn't impressive. I said they were impressive. I
Send
just
your
said
ass to
Miami's
worst
resume was
cuts.
Hey,
equally
here's
as impressive.
here's the thing. If it does get close, shot creation goes in favor of Miami.
That's all
if
I'm
the
saying.
game is close.
And
That's the one thing. If you're UConn that
Concerns you.
that concerns you. If they can keep it close, you're going to have to really play well defensively, which they can. There's a lot of length on that perimeter. That's the whole thing.
My question to you guys is, creating your own shot.
Yeah.
If you had to list the top 3 guys in this game, how many of them are on Miami's roster?
3. All 3.
2 or 3.
That's
yeah.
my point.
All
That's
three.
what I'm saying.
that's a great
I just
point.
don't
Yeah.
think that UConn's going to blow them out.
No,
Now,
no.
Could
This
they
is the-
win
this is
an
the-
offensive rebound or something like that?
That's
I can see that.
This is the championship game right here.
I
won't say that
disagree.
either. I won't say that either.
disagree.
I won't say
No,
that
it's not.
Absolutely.
No,
not.
it's
It is.
not.
That's a
No.
cakewalk from there on
San
out.
Diego
because
State is
I think
tough as
San-
nails,
I think
man.
San Diego State is so underrated and
I think San
underappreciated.
Diego
Oh,
State.
man.
I do think both Miami and UConn beat the brakes off of San Diego.
San Diego
State.
State will be favored against Miami.
No.
But
that.
they're
No,
a great. Hold on.
I think that's the opposite. I think
No, they
Miami
won't.
is the kryptonite to San Diego State.
That's what I was going to say because
No,
you can
but
swing the ball.
because you
That
cannot
doesn't
control
mean that they
the
won't
pace.
be favored.
No
What you're talking about is the
way.
matchup. What I'm talking
I'm
about
picking Miami
as
as
No.
most
Las Vegas is going to set the line. If you go watch, if they play,
You think so?
I do.
I think the
Here's-
mistake the teams make is on that is again you
Because
keep trying to
Miami,
slow down the
Miami
pace.
is 10 spots lower than San Diego State on Ken Palm. What that
don't care
means
about
is
on
that
Ken Palm.
that's
We
where the
don't care
lines
about
come
that.
from.
I don't care
That's where
about
the
that.
lines come
Here's
from.
the deal. We've talked about Miami and this and that and
Hey,
this and that.
if Miami plays San Diego State, it's 1-on-1. San Diego State is killing every piece of
That's how you
offense
beat-
you're going. You beat San Diego State by
right.
stellar 1-on-1 play. That's why Miami.
No
would
one
win
is
that
better
game.
than
Come
Miami
on.
in this tournament.
And then
No,
UConn's
I-
just better at
T.O.,
that game.
T.O.
Hold on, Rob. Hold on. That was loud. I didn't mean to be that loud. Sorry. No, but UConn's just better at what San Diego State does than San Diego State is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You're
I was really
100%
loud. I'm
right,
sorry.
and
I
I do
didn't mean
think
to
that
be that
Miami
loud.
would win. Saying that Miami would win and saying that Bet Rivers is going to set the line at San Diego State minus 1.5 are two incredibly different things.
That's true.
And if you don't believe me, then watch what happens when the lines come out.
Well, I will.
That's all
I
I'm
will
gonna
watch.
say.
Guess what? I don't think the line's going to come out. I think
Exactly.
Miami could win the game. I also think FAU is getting counted out here because they have individual playmakers that can make shots. They do.
Yeah.
They do. Here's the thing with Connecticut. Here's why UConn is a wagon. Adama Sanogo has averaged 20 and 10 in this tournament. He has been an absolute force. So offensive rebounding, this is where Norchad Omier is going to get pressured. I mean, everything's on Omier's plate on Saturday night. You compound that. Right now, folks, UConn has far and away the best NBA draft prospect in this Final Four. Jordan Hawkins is playing like a man possessed. He takes over games. He'll hit 3-4 threes in a cycle. It's like he's taking shooting practice. But then you combine all that with their depth. Miami cannot match UConn's depth. Nobody can match the level of depth that Connecticut has in quality of it. The fact that they can hand the keys to the car from Sanogo to Klingon, the fact that Joey Calcaterra, Naheem Aline, Alex Caravan are all knocking down shots, and more than anything, Andre Jackson has become this point god of sorts. 17 assists over his last 2 games. They've got the complete package.
Hey, me and Randolph can't get a word out, and he gets to wax poetic for 3 minutes.
It was about UConn.
Yeah, that's right. You see how quiet Rob was?
Rob
You
loved
see how that was?
He loved that. He loved the UConn. Listen, I Tion and I feel the same way. I think it's going to be a hell of a game, man. I'm not going to deny.
We got to take a break.
We have to take a break.
That's enough rhetoric. That's enough rhetoric. We're going to switch over to our Sirius XM hour. In our second hour, we got a full amount of talk on this Final Four, plus an update on the coaching carousel from Jeff. All that coming up and more. Field of 68, the Final Four.
Are you a college basketball junkie? Are you the kind of fan that gets frustrated that this beautiful sport has such a lack of national coverage outside of the month of March? Well, let me tell you about the Field of 68, an all-encompassing digital network of podcasts, live streams, and newsletters that cover the sport at every level on every platform. From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors, the only way to keep up with college basketball is through the Field of
We welcome you to the Field of 68's coverage from the Final Four in Houston, Texas. We are live from Little Woodrow's Edo, 2019 Walker Street in Houston. Come stop and see us. It's right by Minute Maid Park, the home of the defending world champion Houston Astros. I'm John Fanta. We've got Terrence Oglesby here. We've got Randolph Childress here. We've got Jeff Goodman here. Rob Dauster's with us as well. We're on Sirius XM College Channel 84, presented by Bet Rivers Underdog Fantasy. So, fellas, we're setting things back up here to our Sirius XM audience. Welcome to our coverage from Houston. I bring you guys back in here. I asked Jeff this in our previous hour, but Randolph, what does this Final Four say to you? And I know you had a message on Monday night. I'd like to hear that again, what you would tell the country.
If you're not a fan of this, kick rocks. I mean, I mean, shit, kick rocks. It's great for basketball. I don't care if the blue blood schools, this isn't the Final Four from a year ago. I think the game's in a great place, and I'm happy for these teams that are here. I think I'm supportive of them, and I expect it's really good, well-coached teams, and it's going to be good basketball.
We talked about the other day. I can't remember which day it was. All these shows are running together now, Fanta. But there's different ways to win.
It wasn't the one that you tapped out on?
I only tapped out on two. I'm thinking the tap water for that. So here's the deal. You can win in different ways in college basketball. This Final Four says just that. San Diego State transfers. FAU, high school kids that, quite frankly, I think was a result of the transfer portal being introduced. And then maybe some of those guys that would have gone the bottom of the Power 5, Power 6, they go down half a level. What happens? They end up in Conference USA. They're good. Miami, NIL, baby. John Ruiz, highest paid team in the country. And then UConn has done it with their own homegrown kids. There's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. There's a lot of different ways to win college basketball. I think this Final Four in particular shows just that.
I think if you're a school, you got to get it done now, because I think after next year, as we get rid of the COVID extra year, we get rid of the 24, 25, 26-year-old.
Freshmen are coming back.
The freshmen are back, baby, and you got to live through that. And I think that's going to be a readjustment that coaches and programs are going to have to make.
Inflategate. Don't forget about Inflategate.
That's a big issue, too.
That's true.
I think that's, honestly, I mean, look at the shooting, right? I mean, it's under 31.7%
It's been
in the NCAA tournament. Again, I mean, I think there's a bunch of factors that have closed the gap. NIL certainly has given teams like programs like Miami even more of an opportunity, right? I mean, they're not getting Nigel Pack with that NIL. They're not. I mean, they're fighting Purdue, right? Purdue didn't have the same level of NIL. Imagine Purdue this year with Nigel Pack. Difference, right? I mean,
huge difference.
They might still be playing.
They might be here. They might be here right now.
I don't even know if it's a might be here. I think they are here.
Right.
Really?
If Nigel Pack's there.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me ask you this.
Like that made, now again, Purdue will get there with NIL here in the next year or two.
You think they will? They're going to.
Yeah, they're already going to be there.
Good.
But like some of these schools were just so far behind. Louisville was so far behind.
I think more than people know.
Right. Yeah.
You know, we talk. I heard you on the opening, Jeff. You mentioned about Shrewsbury going to Notre Dame. Notre Dame has to get up to speed on that, and they do with football.
And they will, or else he wasn't going to go there.
Right.
So it almost takes some ways, a new coach or your coach leaving. it's like anything, right? It was practice facilities years ago.
Yes.
Leverage.
Yes.
You need leverage
Yep.
to be able to get that program to do things, whether it's a practice facility years ago or NIL now. And again, both, I think, Penn State and Notre Dame, their coaches are the beneficiaries because there was a coach, looking at those jobs.
It's becoming a standard now, though. It's a standard. Either you come up with NIL money, because every coach is saying it. If you don't give me NIL money, then you're going to lose your coach.
I got a great way of. Ready? You ready for this? This is the new way of getting NIL through MTEs.
Oh.
MTEs are now. They're basically saying, we're going to do this, but how much are you going to give us for NIL?
Wow.
So we're going to do. We'll do your MTE, which is a multi-tournament event.
Feast week, folks.
Yeah, like anything in November, December, but we're only going to do that if we get money back for NIL. That's how they want it. They don't care about anything else other than what are we getting back for our NIL so we can.
I'm only okay with that situation if they do the same way they used to do the 3-on-3 tournament, where they, after every win, they picked up a bunch of fake money and they made it rain. It's the only way I'm okay with it, which is basically what you're saying is going to happen. You're playing,
crazy,
for the pot at the end of the tunnel, right?
I just find it fascinating, Jeff.
End of the rainbow.
Yes, at the end of the rainbow. I just find it fascinating because 8 months ago, on our channel, we were talking about NIL and Miami and will this drama affect them? And it's so much for NIL fracturing a locker room because here they are standing. How has a 73-year-old guy in Jim Larinaga sort of allowed for all this to go on and for it to produce a Final Four ticket for Miami Hoops?
Yeah, I mean, I think because of who Larinaga is and where he's at in his career, I think that helped him here. He didn't worry about John Ruiz. I talked to him in Rock Hill in July. He was like, I don't care. Like, I don't deal with John Ruiz. Whatever he wants to do, our locker room's going to be fine.
Which, by the way, that exact attitude is what kept them out of trouble, like the women's program got in trouble, where they made the meeting happen with the Gavender twins.
Larinaga didn't do that.
And he was like, I don't care what happens. You guys handle it, and I'll just coach whoever I get. Which, hey, it's worked there. Why hasn't it worked other places?
I talked to Nigel Pack after the game in Albany.
That's genuine, by the way.
While.
That's genuine.
Yeah.
Like when Larinaga and Pack and those guys are talking after.
Nigel
that's
Pack,
genuine affection for
Here's
you.
the thing. If Nigel Pack had come in, strutting his stuff, being like, I'm getting 400, that's not him. And that's not Norchad. Like, these kids are like, fit-in type guys who just play hard, play the right way, and I think that's helped them.
Hey, Norchad is Nicaraguan, so he doesn't get any NIL money.
Oh, trust me.
He doesn't get any.
He got $165,000. It was reported this week.
I think that's a low number, John. Whoever reported that, I think it's a low number.
Really?
How much did you say?
The report in the Miami press was $165,000. We talked to him on Monday.
Yeah, we talked to him Monday. I don't think he got any.
Yeah, he complained to us on our interview.
Well, they all listen. How they do it now is
They couldn't Western
they
Union
can
it
get
to himself from
overseas.
where he's from?
So you set up a company in Nicaragua, in Estonia, in whatever country, and you don't think John Ruiz has the ability to set up a company in Nicaragua? Of course he does.
Do you think the players got incentives for making the Final Four?
Jeff, will that change next year?
From anyone.
Which?
From anyone.
The NIL deal with European players.
I don't think it's going to.
Or
I don't think
non-American
it
players.
can.
The Hansel Emmanuel got a certain clause in his visa to where he could get paid NIL money. So that was a turning point in this thing.
They can get certain things, but can they do active? Can they do active advertising and marketing?
What's the way around it? Is it to go through?
You're both a student visa and an employee of the university or the collective that you're working for. That's a way to do it.
Well, how much do you think Omir's getting?
400.
I don't know the exact number, but I'm told it's north of 140.
No, he said 400.
The report was 165.
I would believe it's closer to what T.O. just said.
Wow.
400.
Wow.
There's no way.
Okay. That's amazing.
That's more than some of the staff members.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's just, it is pro sports. Let's call it what it is.
If they're getting that.
Well, not for all of them. I mean, again, not everybody, but certainly those guys at Miami are making real money. That's real money. Now,
That's real money.
At Purdue, I think most of the team wasn't making real money this year. Good money. Good money.
I would say over half of Power 5, Power 6 schools, a good 60% of them didn't have NIL.
Right.
Well, that's what I was going to ask that question now. Which league?
SEC.
SEC. Because
No, I'm going the other way with it.
Who's not
Is
getting
Big
anything?
Ten
No,
or
who
SEC?
should be scared? Who should be concerned about the current climate?
Probably individual programs more than leagues.
I agree with that.
Individual
I don't
schools.
think I don't think you can
The Pac-12.
paint a
They're in trouble
That,
anyway.
that whole league's in trouble.
They're
by
in trouble
itself.
anyway.
I mean,
They're over here
Arizona's
trying to sell
got
their
it.
stuff to
UCLA
Apple.
will get it.
They're going to the Big Ten.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a mid-major
I'd be more,
league. So
I'd be more
yeah,
concerned with certain schools, Georgia Tech, who
Right, they
has
had
been
nothing.
stingy.
Right.
Wake Forest, who's been stingy
Yep.
as far as NIL is concerned. They're buying practice facilities, but they've been stingy.
Because-
That's where not only go ahead.
No, I was going to say because most of those situations, they're just behind. So like Jeff said before, the theme was, hey, we got to get better practice facilities. We got to get things. Now schools have invested in those things, and now the pendulum has swung, and now it's about how much money NIL.
That's a weekly meeting now between donors and school of donors trying to shift their mentality of, okay, what really helps my
It's a
school win?
contradiction from an athletic department because most of them operate in the red. So if I'm an AD, or if T.O. is my boss and he's the AD, he wants money to clear the red. I need money for my players.
Right.
So it's an ongoing fight of how much are you going to allow me from an administrative deal? How much are you going to allow me
You're right.
for the red tape?
That's
a
why
lot to
the
be said
AD's
there.
fighting for his facility to be able to operate and all that.
There's
I was gonna say too-
there's a lot of cute ways to operate in the red. Let's also throw that part in there.
Well, you're smarter than us, CZ.
Yeah, CZ knows finance.
CZ Binance knows finance.
CZ
baby.
Binance knows finance.
You know what I was going to say too? You know how you brought up the point of.
Go
ahead.
real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about facilities. I want to chime in on that. If you guys have been to an NBA facility, it doesn't have all the PlayStations in the wall.
They don't care.
They don't.
They're too
Give me
old.
the money.
Yeah. Well, they're too
They got it at
old.
home. They don't.
But they're not.
You know why?
But they're not too old.
They're
They
not
don't
sitting
care.
around the
They're getting
facility
paid
all day either.
Right.
They go home.
Right.
They
They're
go
getting
home.
paid.
They're done with practice. They're not hanging out with each other. Most of them.
That's right.
They go home. They
But
shoot,
but
go
they're
home.
also getting paid millions of dollars. And as NIL progresses, they'd rather take the money as opposed to the facilities, wouldn't you think?
Oh, hell yeah, I would.
Yeah.
There you go.
Of course.
You know, it's funny though because you've brought up the point of like we were talking about coaching changes and recruits following coaches.
Yeah.
As you know, there's an unreasonable fan base in the Northeast corridor that's upset that a coach takes the recruits that he had at one school to another.
Okay.
Like, not only what's that?
I'm messing with T.O. Go
Oh,
ahead.
not only are you following your coach, recruits are playing for coaches. Not
Right,
play-
right, of
But
course.
now are ADs not hiring and boards not hiring coaches who can guide the money? For instance, the St. John's, we all know Rick Pitino can get money that they were never getting before.
Sure, but you're hiring Rick Pitino because he's Rick Pitino. You're not hiring Rick Pitino because he can get NIL. You're hiring Rick Pitino because he can change the program overnight.
And NIL's a component of that.
Yeah, I mean certainly Rick's going to be able to get more than Mike Anderson got, but I don't.
A lot
think
more,
you're hiring,
Jeff.
Like you're not hiring Ed Cooley at Georgetown because he can get NIL. There's
No.
very few. Yeah, like certain guys maybe that are filthy, like connected.
I'm saying.
Like, you know, yeah, there just aren't many of those guys that you're hiring. You're not hiring a guy for NIL. You're hiring him because he can win you games. He can win you games, and yes, Ed Cooley's got a personality that will enable him to be able to get NIL, but that's not why you're hiring a coach.
Do you think that an AD could say, well, I know this guy can get us players, and therefore he's getting us players because of.
It's more the personality to connect with the people in the community
Yes.
that will be able to give, so it's not
Yeah.
really the connections.
Can he draw it?
Right.
Can you say more of a connection? Now, because again, we talked about, I just said it, it's a contradiction from NIL money going to players when an athletic director, most of them are operating in the red and they need money coming into the department,
Right.
not going to players.
Yeah.
So you need a guy that's going to come in and connect with the community and connect with the job that fits, that says, hey, to force someone or make someone say, hey, I want to give money to this program.
Or, you can do it too. I mean, there'll be creative ways, right? I mean, why can't you eventually start just playing another buy game and have that money somehow be going to NIL or maybe it's going to the athletic department? I don't know. I just feel like, again, people are gonna get more creative with ways, like I said, with these MTEs. Who thought that would be the way of the world? But that's the way it's gonna go.
We're going to take a quick timeout. Coming up after this, we're going to talk about owls. No, not the owls of FAU, a different type of owl in college basketball. And the question, what were they thinking? Field of 68 from the Final Four in Houston. Back after this.
Today's episode of the Field of 68 After Dark is presented by our partners over at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's Final Four games. And pick'em, all you do is pick whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether it's points or rebounds or assists or all of them combined. If you're like me and you think Adama Sanogo is going to go nuts this weekend, pick higher on his points projection, pick higher on his rebounds projection, maybe throw in a lower on Matt Bradley's scoring totals, a higher on Isaiah Wong, whatever it is that you like. Put them all together, and if you hit them all, then you can win as much as 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured out how to use it. So go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, that's FIELD, to get a 100% deposit match up to $100.
Welcome back, everybody, to Houston.
Are we live right now?
We were on YouTube. We're on YouTube. Do we have any questions? Bronny James, what do you think of him?
Who?
Quickly.
Oh, Bronny.
10 seconds.
I like Bronny. He gets better and better and better. He's not the number 10 pick in the draft like somebody put him in a mock, but I like him. He's going to be a really good college player. I think USC is the place he goes.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 from the Final Four. We're on Sirius XM College Channel 84, presented by Bet Rivers. We're presented by Underdog Fantasy. We're coming to you from Little Woodrow's, right near Minute Maid Park in downtown Houston. John Fanta, Rob Dauster, Randolph, Childress, Jeff Goodman. So before the break, we said, hey, we're going to talk about a different kind of owls. We're going to talk about Temple. Temple making headlines today with their coaching search. This seemed to be changing by the minute. What is the latest?
You're really putting me on the spot on this one, aren't you? These guys are ready. They're ready to see what I say about this. Temple has hired Adam Fisher. He's an assistant coach at Penn State. He was formerly an assistant coach at Miami. Charlton Young was in the mix, too. He is an assistant now at Missouri. He was an assistant at Florida State prior. Glenn Sugiyama ran the search, and I think it was a shit show. I really do. Don't like it. I like Adam Fisher. I like him at like St. Francis, PA, when Rob Krimmel eventually steps down or retires or something like that.
That's harsh.
No, I'm just telling you. I think you need a guy who's going to be able to go in and get players out of Philly. And no, I don't think Adam Fisher is that guy. I just don't.
Why did they think he was? What are you learning?
I'm learning that Glenn Sugiyama, when I do my whole breakdown of the search firms, my guess is he'll be dead at the bottom. And that's hard to do because there are some bad search firms out there. And this is, again, it's a joke.
How long has Glenn Sugiyama been in business?
A while. I mean, I go back. I have most of the years. I haven't kept up in the last year or so of every job filled in each search firm, but I got a list over there of many, and each firm. And again, percentages for Glenn. I mean, he Mark Godfrey to Cal State Northridge. That was the work of Glenn Sugiyama.
Better or worse than 3-point percentage in the NCAA tournament?
Lower.
Okay, well.
And again, I like
Fisher.
Adam Fisher, just not at Temple. So
what do you need at Temple?
I didn't like Charlton Young at Temple either because he's a South. He's really spent most of his career down South.
Who would you have hired?
I would like Charlton Young should be in the mix at like UCF or USF. He could have been in the mix for, right? I like the hire of Amir Abdul-Rahim. I like that.
USF.
Look at USF. He just turned around Kennesaw State. That fits geographically. sometimes, especially in the Northeast, don't get out of your comfort zone. Don't try to get somebody. Listen, Matt McCall, right? They hired him at UMass. To me, it just didn't work. It took too long to get up to speed. Brett Nelson, Matt McCall's guy from Florida. They hired him at Holy Cross. It does Northeast, to me, hire some Northeast dudes.
How about Mike Anderson to St. John's?
Terrible hire. Did I call that one? Hell yeah, it was an easy one. Again, maybe I'm wrong on Adam Fisher at the end of the day. I don't believe I will. But now, again, the only thing I'll say to all that is the staff.
I think that's the key to all the hires.
It can save you.
It's like everybody. I don't care who you are. It's who you surround yourself with.
But again,
and when geographically, when you're saying,
I'm afraid for Adam Fisher, going into the streets of Philly.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Goodman, come on.
Alrighty.
Look, hold on. I just have one thing to add to that. Really quick.
You do?
Yeah.
You really wanted to add something?
Yeah, because RC makes a really good point. It's not about how good you are. It's about who you surround yourself with, which is probably why
you got to be good too.
It's about knowing what you're not.
I'm streaming on YouTube,
which would
right
explain
now,
a lot about us.
I'm not on like the 3-letter networks. Like I surrounded myself with the wrong people.
It's who you surround yourself with, and it's what you don't know.
So I fucked
We really
up.
should have done that draft. The other one
Too late to do the draft?
no, never too late. Speaking of draft,
Where are we going with that?
Yeah.
Speaking of drafts,
Boy.
you put me in the Army?
I thought.
Army did make a hire.
If you're in the Army, run
They
for
did
the
make
hills,
a hire.
everybody. Run for the
They
hills.
made a hire today.
Can't have-
Kevin Kuick.
Yeah, he did, yes.
Great hire.
And why did they hire him? Butler assistant.
Yeah,
Because-
Butler assistant, former vet. Obviously was in the war. Kevin Hewitt, great dude, and I love that hire.
And Cal. California has a coach.
Cal hired Mark Madsen. Wow.
The Mad Dog.
This is incredible to me because if there was one hire I thought would occur, if you had asked me 2 months ago, what's the one hire, the easiest hire of the whole carousel, it would have been Mark Madsen to Stanford, right? Where he was a star, the guy. It's an easy one. He's at Utah Valley, but Stanford gives Jared Haas another year.
So much is timing with these things. It's
amazing.
unreal.
Do you
and
think-
Madsen gets frustrated. Madsen's like, well, is it ever going to open? He's making $300,000 at Utah Valley right now. Is it ever going to open? Cal comes calling after they swing and miss on Randy Bennett, and okay, it's like 10 minutes from where he grew up, 20 minutes from where he grew up. Well, you know what? Cal and Stanford, Cal probably is a higher upside.
Ooh, I don't know about that. That seems like a pit job.
Here's the difference. If you don't have, you've got a small pool, right, at Stanford, a really small pool to recruit from. And if you don't know how to recruit those type of kids, I don't know. Again, you better have a staff that fits at Stanford, and you better get lucky. I mean, listen, Trent Johnson, a little bit of luck with the Lopez
You better hope
twins.
they stay. And he's been able to get guys like Zaire Williams and those guys.
You're
They
right,
just
Randolph.
didn't stay.
Right.
They just don't stay, and that's the problem.
But he had everybody back this year.
Yeah.
Everybody back, and he didn't win, so everybody thought it was going to pop. It didn't. All I'm saying is you can get kids in easier at Cal. You can definitely get kids in easier. And Cal's had some success, too. I mean, it was a while ago, but they've had it.
The biggest advantage is they obviously let you win transfer. You can portal your way
Right,
through
well, you
Cal,
can't do that at Stanford.
and you can at Stanford.
Right.
All right.
Limitations.
Well, speaking of Cal, let's talk about Cal, meaning John Calipari, because we're going to go back to our Blue Bloods. And there's got to be somebody in their car saying, oh, they're talking Cal, I'm ready. No, we were actually
We're
talking.
going from Cal to Cal?
Yeah, from Cal to Cal.
All right.
From Cal to Cal. Who's got more upside? Ooh, at this stage, who's got more upside?
I mean, the big question, Gottlieb and I answered today, will John
Cal or Cal?
Calipari make another Final Four in his career?
I'm not counting against him. I just think he gets talent.
Yeah.
Say what you want. He's always going to get guys, and he's going to have talent. And I like what he's bringing in. I don't count that against him.
He needs to just bring in John Beeline for a month.
A month? That's it? A month?
4 weeks.
Better 2 months, 3 months. I mean, I don't know how long Beeline will
Randolph.
want to stay there, but Beeline isn't. Yeah, Beeline's with the Pistons helping out, right? Consultant.
1 month?
2 months, whatever he'll agree to. Bring him in for the year. If he'll agree to it, pay him I'd pay him $2 million.
How would you
Coming
grade
for the
Cal
year.
this season? How would you grade John Calipari this season?
I would actually give him a pretty good grade.
I would.
I would give him a pretty good grade.
What do you guys think? Huh? What? Are you kidding me?
I don't.
What?
I've
Because
never,
he started shitty and finished. So if it had been reversed, what would you give him? He'd get out of the first weekend again. He won one tournament game.
Probably not a great game, but they were
I'd give him a C.
horrible.
I'd give him a C.
Yeah, like I'd probably give him like a low B, like a B minus. They didn't do a great job, but they were horrible.
Where did you have him ranked preseason?
They were horrible for. We obviously misranked them.
We all
That's
did.
on us.
We all did. We
That's
all
on us.
did.
By
Everybody
buying
did.
into
No,
the
it's
idea-
not.
No, it absolutely
No,
is.
it's-
Because we thought that
Dude,
Oscar
he had the-
Sheba was
he
actually
had-
good enough to be the national player of
Well,
the year.
he was.
First
you
of all,
voted him last year.
I did, and you know what?
Right.
He's
Here we go. The best role player.
the best role player in college basketball.
love that.
He
I
is.
love
He's
that.
not a star.
Isn't that
He's
crazy?
not a star. If you cannot have the ball thrown to you and go get a shot on your own, you are not a star.
RC, role player.
He is
What
a
do
rebounder.
you say to that?
He is a rebounder. All he can do is rebound.
I think
you can't
no.
throw the ball to him in the post.
Hey, RC,
You
say
can't,
it.
You
Stop.
can't throw the ball to him in the
Stop.
post.
You guys, stop
Come on.
He can't guard ball screens.
Cut him off.
He can't guard ball screens.
Cut him
He's
off.
a role player. That's what he is. He's a role
He's
player.
a little better than a role
He
player.
go-
Right.
he's
Come
a
on,
very,
man.
Did I
very,
do it?
very
What I
good
did
role
last
player.
weekend?
What'd you do last
Kind
You're
of like the way
such a
that Draymond
dumbass.
Green is a role player.
No, I can't let you do that. to
Yeah,
him.
can you build a team around Draymond Green?
I
Is he a
watched
star?
him. I watched him
Can you win-
single-handedly mangle Kansas State, even though they advanced.
Yeah, it's true.
He
Great point.
mangled
They should've won the
Kansas State.
game.
I mean,
They should have won that game.
And who advanced?
no,
Who advanced? You cannot win a title with Oscar Sheba as your best player. That's
no,
the
no,
point.
I'm not necessarily.
How is that wrong? What did they won with Oscar
But
Sheba
he's
as their
not
best
a
player?
role player.
won a lot of
Yes,
games.
he
He's not
is.
a role.
A lot of
he
games
is
last
not.
year with him as your best
The
player.
problem is they can't live up to their expectation if he is the star.
In the
you want to know
tournament.
why they were
In the
so good
tournament,
last year?
I agree.
You want to know why they were
That's
so good
more of
last
a
year?
big guy
Because they
problem.
had Ty Washington. They had Kellen Grady before he got hurt. They had other guys that could go
Can I
get you
ask you this?
shots.
So
They
who-
just
were they
let
the- were they
would you
their
rather
best
have?
player?
Who would you rather have? Adama Sanogo or Oscar Sheba?
Adama. Not even close. No doubt about it. One.
So what does he do better on the offensive end than Oscar
point.
Sheba
You
does?
throw the ball to the post and he can get shit done in the post.
And you can throw it over the top.
No, you can watch him. Watch him.
I've
Watch
watched him. I'm saying, so I'm
Watch
asking
him.
you.
You
So
throw it
you,
to the post and he will get stuff done in the post. Two, he's a better passer than people give him credit for.
Well, he was last game.
Three, he's shooting 35% from three, and he could throw a pump fake and dribble to his left and get to the rim.
By the way, no offense, they took off.
This is the most important part. This is the most important part. He can defend ball screens. That is the single biggest issue I have with Oscar Sheba.
he hedges and recovers though. That's just
Yes.
their scheme.
Yes, it's
and
a
then
scheme,
you
but
penalizing
it
him
works.
for Sheba for being in drop coverage.
Yes,
That's not
I
his
am.
fault.
Yeah, so whose fault is it?
That's the system then.
Yes. Yes, for not maximizing the
Okay.
player's strengths.
So
Well, then-
tomorrow,
Yeah,
are you
let's
going
go back to
to
it.
blame
Hold
the
on,
system
hold on,
tomorrow
hold on.
when Miami exploits the hedge and recover?
No, because you know what's going to happen. 'Cause here's
We're
what's
gonna
going to
get to
happen. They're going to bring Donovan Clingan in, and then they're going to go to drop because they play Clingan and drop.
And that's
the thing about him.
And that's not going to be successful. But
Yeah,
He's
can-
sitting
you
on
can't-
this.
You can't drop. You can't
Hey,
drop Miami.
like a
You can't
pot.
drop Miami.
Hey,
You can't drop Miami.
his pan is sizzling. Go ahead. Let's go back to what?
Well, you guys were, then saying it's a system. Well, whose fault is that?
Yes.
That's what I
So we
said.
get back
Yes.
to what we were talking about at the
minus.
beginning. B minus. You are like I
He
wanted
must have
you as
gotten
a
B.
teacher.
He must have gotten B
My
minuses.
God. Like seriously, how easy are you? B minus.
Well, they were.
He's a substitute
terrible.
teacher.
They were terrible, and
Doing
it
their
took them.
subs and comes
It took
in.
them. It took them a while to get there.
Not even watching.
If you look at what they went through all season,
What are you looking at in your computer when you're a sub?
We completely overrated them coming into the season. Completely overrated Kentucky based off what they actually had. That's true.
I'm
That is
still
a
shocked.
fact. That
No,
is a
I
fact.
disagree
I'm still
with
shocked.
that.
You said you would take Adama over
No.
over the
No,
player
I
of the
would
year.
not- I don't even-
I don't even
have to think
You can
twice.
make
Wow.
an argument, RC.
No,
I don't
no,
even have to think
you
about
can
it.
make an argument. It's not like it's a slam
Right,
dunk,
right.
but
but
it's
I don't
hard
have
to go against
But
Sheba
hold
on
on
that.
a
I don't even have to
minute.
think twice
You can't
about
go against Sheba on that.
it.
Hold on
I
a
don't
minute.
even have to think twice about it.
Wow.
Okay,
That's because
and-
you bleed UConn.
Okay,
It's not just
whatever.
that. He does way more. I think Oscar Sheba can rebound, and to me, being a great rebounder is like you know what he is. You know who he
I
is?
don't think
He's
either one
college-
of them is dominant as
You know what he
offensive
is?
players on the post,
Tell
but
me
I
if
think
you got-
Sheba is better than you give him
Tell me
credit.
what you guys think about this. I think that Oscar Sheba is college Andre Drummond.
Who?
No.
Andre who?
Drummond.
I know.
What Drummond is in the
No.
NBA is what
No.
Sheba is in
No.
college.
I think he's a little better
shot
offensively.
blocker. He's a rim protector.
But just the whole idea that he could put up numbers, he could rebound the ball, but you can't win with him being your best player.
They
It's just
did
not
win
going to
with
happen.
him. Other than in the NCAA tournament.
Other than the NCAA tournament.
listen.
Did they win the SEC tournament last year?
So you're saying you can win with
know, but
Odom
they
as your
won a
best
lot of
player?
games.
Did they win
Yeah.
the SEC regular
Who
season
cares?
title
They were
last
really
year?
good last year with him.
You
But
can win
hold
with
on a
Odom as your
minute.
best player?
He's not their best player.
No, but that's my point. If he is your best player, could you win with him? Or are we having the same argument?
But see,
We-
that's
no,
not a
you-
Kentucky thing. That's a college basketball thing with big men.
The reason why it works with UConn is because Jordan Hawkins is their best player. What Kentucky had last year was they had Ty Washington and they had Kellen Gray.
Payson Wallace is pretty good.
I'm getting
But-
fired up
Exactly.
right
He is
now,
their best
folks.
player.
I'm about to
He's
burst.
their best player, but he's also hurt.
Get him some
and they
Fanta.
don't have the
All right,
shooting
Fanta.
around him to be able to
Get him
do it.
Fanta.
Bottom line is we overrated Kentucky, and I think
All right.
go ahead.
Here's the last point I would make is, what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over
Doing
and
the
over
same
again.
thing over and over and over again. Cal continues to try to put a square peg in a round hole. If it's systematic issues, that's on the coach.
You know what he needs? He needs to bring in somebody again, like he had with John Robick, that can help him from an X's and O's standpoint.
Yes.
He's got to bring in somebody. He's got an open spot now.
We've been saying that for
KT
2 years.
Turner.
We've been saying that for
I
2
know.
years.
I know. John Robick, if you look back to their success, a lot of it came with John Robick by his side. When they were going to Final Fours, I think he needs that.
I thought things changed for them. To me, they lost the battle to Duke in getting the
Elite guys.
elite guys coming out of high school. There was always those two programs, and I think Duke is the one program. Now, they announced they're going to make some changes and go in a portal, but Duke is the only team in college basketball that remained getting the high school players. Now, I'm not saying other
Duke
schools didn't
said
get
that?
pieces.
Duke's going portal?
You got to mix them.
Yes, they said they're going to mix them in now.
You got to mix them.
Got it.
That's the key.
But he
The G
still is
League-
going to get the
Well,
the
G
best
League
guys.
in overtime is hurting.
Yes.
Is hurting them.
Yes.
Just because the
Yes.
high level talent isn't
Yes.
elite level
Yes.
talent. It's
Yes.
good, but it's not elite.
Right.
Coming up after this, where do these guys stand on this Final Four? And does one of them have a hot take for the weekend that you might not be thinking of? We'll hit on that. Plus, we'll go around the country with some more storylines. We haven't hit on one, Blue Blood. Hey, we're a year removed from Kansas cutting down the nets, so what's the state of Bill Self's program? All that and more. This is the Field of 68 from the Final Four in Houston.
You guys ever get tired of trying to prove that you won an argument, that your takes weren't hot, they were just right? Well, I have an answer to all of your problems. Vaulted is a new sports prediction app that turns your opinions into facts. You can store all of your predictions and hot takes in your own vault now and forever. Challenge your friends, keep track of the results, and prove that you are, in fact, the smartest one in the room. Vaulted is also releasing a Final Four competition called their Last Four Pool. What amounts to a hot take challenge, it has a $5,000 prize pool. Who doesn't like free money? I like free money. So if you like free money like me, then go and download the Vaulted app at the link below, sign up for your free 3-month trial, and store your predictions now and forever. We're back. Field of 68 after dark. Fan had to go jump off. He is going to eat his Chipotle right now. I know. We're on YouTube. I'm just telling the YouTube chat. Do you think I'd be talking about Fanta's Chipotle on Sirius XM? I would not.
Chipotle.
You going to introduce me to your mad UConn fans on
Oh,
chat?
the UConn fans
Hey,
are upset.
the guy that just text Rob here, I said 5-star kids, not kids all over the country anywhere. I said 5-star kids coming across the pond or coming across the country.
Coming across the pond.
Coming across the pond.
Coming across Lake Michigan. Tell me what to do, Dagan. That's true. It's his job.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live here in Houston for the Final Four at Little Woodrow's in Edo. Come hang out. Come see us. We'll be here tomorrow afternoon. We'll be here Friday afternoon. Rob Dauster, Randolph Childress, Terrence Oglesby, Jeff Goodman. We are live. Sirius XM Channel 84, and we are streaming over on YouTube. Jump in the chat. Ask us questions. We'll answer them the best that we can. Gentlemen, we've hit on 3 of the bluest of the blue bloods so far. We've talked about whether or not UConn is a blue blood. And now we need to talk about Kansas, the state of Kansas basketball. Goodman, I'm going to you first on this one. They are a year removed from winning a national title. But I also think that this year we kind of saw what some of the limitations for them can be. Where do you stand on Kansas? What's it going to take for them to get back to that that elite level, and will the fact that they are playing in a Big 12 that is now unquestionably the most difficult basketball conference in America, how will that impact them long term?
Well, listen, I've said this for years. I think the NCAA investigation hurt them. They're already, it's tough for them because they're an Adidas school, right? So they're not getting help because Adidas doesn't have players for the most part. And now you're talking about with the NCAA stuff hanging over their head, it makes it that much harder. So I think it's affected them. And I think, again, they were fortunate to get some guys that they could develop that weren't as highly ranked, right? They're not getting the Wigginses and the Embiids.
Yep.
They're getting the next tier, right? The 25 to 75s, a lot of those. And Ochai was, 400, and I think he told me 438 or something like that. So you need a little luck. Now, Bill Self can develop talent as good as probably anybody out there and coaches as well as anybody out there. They're going to lose Grady Dick. We know that. But they're going to bring in some good players.
Sure.
Again, I still say if Bill Self were coaching them, and this is no knock on Norm Roberts, and they got a good whistle, and they got a better
It's a lot of hypotheticals.
Yeah, no, there are. I mean, they shouldn't have been where they were anyway. They
Right.
should have been in the Midwest, not the West.
Yeah, that's true
Right,
too.
so-
What do they say about ifs and aunts and uncles?
There are a lot of them. No, I get it. I get it. All I'm saying is they're right there this year. They're right there with no depth, a point guard who
They
can't
won the Big
score.
12.
Right. A point guard who can't really score, a freshman wing who's up and down but talented as hell. Like, they're going to be there. Kansas isn't going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
They're not going
guys.
anywhere. I think he
Let's not be
still
crazy.
gets the most out of a group of guys that any coach does. That's why he's the best.
Yep.
Because I didn't think this team, I thought the perimeter shooting outside Grady Dick struggling. I didn't know where it would come from. They always seem to adjust. We talked about DeJuan Harris. Self-check, wouldn't shoot. Then he started shooting. He started scoring, and then that changed around. They just, I don't think any of us thought they were probably going to win a national championship. They played well enough at times, but I thought we thought it'd catch up with them in the end, and it did.
I thought they had a legit shot to win a national championship. There were points this season. I thought they had a legit shot.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been a
KJ
favorite, but I thought they had a shot.
No, but they had KJ Adams. They mixed up some lineup.
San Diego State's in the Final Four with Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
Everybody had a shot.
Yeah,
this
everybody
season.
had a
That's
shot.
true.
Everybody had a shot.
We came into this tournament saying 11, 12 teams could be in the Final Four and win a national championship. Well, it turns out
Miami FAU and that.
turns out it was around 30 or 40 teams.
I know. It's so true.
They could have won the national championship and still.
But
But
if you're Clemson Tigers, you just got
take it easy. Take it easy. It hurts. It hurts so much. It hurts so much. Where's Arizona at? We lost Headburn. We
Long
lost
gone.
Headband
Long
Kerr.
gone, baby.
Headband Kerr's going to Nebraska.
I know.
It's like, come on, guys.
Is that true?
No, it's not true. I'm just
was
making
visiting
shit up.
Nebraska.
He visited, but long story short, I forgot what I was talking about. So let's just move on.
Well,
to the next
here,
thing.
let me
A lot of
phrase it.
teams that had a chance.
That's right.
We thought Kansas would be one of them.
Yep.
Let me phrase it to you like this, then, Goodman. We've seen some of the biggest names in college basketball retire in recent years. Jim Boeheim, Coach K,
It just hit me.
Roy Williams. Hold on. Let me finish
How
my
many have
thought.
they won? How many Big 12 championships has Kansas won? Why are we talking about them going anywhere? Are they going anywhere?
8 million.
8 billion.
$8
They're
million.
not going anywhere, right?
Because we didn't. We
come
had to hit on the
That's
Blue
what
Bloods.
I was getting back there.
We had to hit on the Blue Bloods. We had to talk about the Blue Blood. So here's my question about them long term. Bill Self just had a health scare, right?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it was, but it was scary enough that
Is he feeling
he
better?
missed.
He was
the
back
Big
in the
12
road
tournament.
recruiting already.
Okay, good.
Last week.
Good.
So he missed all of the postseason, right? How much longer does he have? Is this going to be something where
I mean, it depends on health, right? It depends on what the doctors tell him. But again, they cleared him to go back on the road recruiting. My thought is they probably would have cleared him had they gotten the Sweet 16 to coach. So it's not. It's serious, obviously. Whenever you have issues with your heart, it's serious. But the fact that he was back on the road as quick as he was leads me to believe that they feel like there's not a risk there. He'll be fine. It sounds like. And again, as long as he's there, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
And even when he leaves,
They'll still be fine.
they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I do believe, and he may never admit this now, I do believe for a moment he'll take some time and sit and really evaluate how much longer I'm going to do this. Where I think prior to this, he probably never even had that conversation or that thought process. I do believe this has
Yeah,
made him
he's
probably
won
sit
two.
and go, man.
He just won one.
Yeah. Like, what more can I do?
I just don't know. I think he's built to coach. I think he loves it. You know, he's not one of those guys who's got a million hobbies. So I think with a lot of these guys, listen, the only reason, Rob knows this, the only reason Jim Calhoun isn't still coaching is because of health issues. That's right. And they told him, basically, you had no choice.
He couldn't stop falling off his damn bike.
A bike, right. He had a bike accident, and it was basically like, hey, you know what? This is it.
Equilibrium was off.
All right, so let's have a little hypothetical here.
I
All
love
right,
those.
I'm going to name some coaches to you. You guys tell me who you think is going to be the first one to retire out of this group.
All right.
Tom Izzo, Coach Cal, Bill Self, Mark Few, Bob Huggins, Jim Larinaga.
I mean, go in order the last three. The last three are the first three.
Few,
In
Larinaga,
some order.
Huggins.
Yeah, those are your first three.
I agree. I think you got to have to carry Izzo out of there.
Right. Izzo's going to go
yeah.
again until a doctor tells him
somebody
he can't.
medically have to.
Right,
They have to
right.
get him. Yeah, I don't believe he's.
Huggins, I think Huggins could be first. You know, like I could see him going in the next year, really. I mean, obviously, there's already some issues they're talking about with the AD. You know, do they want Huggins long term? Is that going to be something? I mean, I don't know how you fire Bob Huggins, but
I can't
good
believe
luck.
he's been there for 16 years.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Right? That's crazy.
I remember Michael Beasley at Kansas State with Bob Huggins. Was
Yeah.
that Bob Huggins or
Yeah.
was that Frank?
Yeah.
This is Bob Huggins.
It was Bob. By the way, Michael Beasley, dude. Next question.
He could score.
Yeah. So
Is
Izzo.
that breaking news?
No.
Few
it's
is
not
the
breaking.
interesting one.
But Few's the one that's interesting to me because he doesn't say how old
Okay,
is Mark
I do
Few?
wanna have that
He wants to go
I think
fishing.
he's like 60.
Yeah, he's not-
50.
but he's-
How old is Few? Somebody look it up.
Whatever it is, I want to ask you guys this while we
I
look
think
it
he
up.
might not even
Well,
be
look it up. Goodman, we talked about this on Saturday night. When did UConn beat Gonzaga?
He's only 60.
We talked about this on Saturday night, guys. Gonzaga no longer has that killer recruiter in Tommy Lloyd. Drew Timme is gone. They got a bunch of 5-stars there that were 5 stars during the COVID year, like you love to say.
Yeah, they're 5 stars because they look like 5 stars on film. There's a big difference between seeing a 5-star in person and seeing a 5-star on film.
So
I could have been a 5-star on film.
now that we're
I don't know about that. If I put out the right film. I got 20 clips that could make me look
it
like
would
a
be you
5-star.
windmilling on that Papa shot right over there.
We didn't talk about
So let's
situational stuff here.
So when it comes to Gonzaga, what is this program moving forward? Are you worried about them being at this elite level? And here's the biggest question that I'm going to ask you. Did Gonzaga miss their window to win a national title in the last 5 years?
Well, when you go to the finals twice and you don't win, and you have the run that they had, and you don't get one, then you can make that argument. I think we're going to find out what their development's like as a staff, because guys like Efton Reed came out, a highly recruited big. Is he's going to step up and give you how he's not going to be Drew Timme, but how much production are you going to get out of him?
Yeah.
You know, how much production are you going to get out of him? I mean, their guard play has to be improved. We'll see what they do in the portal, but we'll see what their development is, and obviously if they retain the guys that finished the year last year.
There was no Corey Kispert on this team. I mean, they've got to get. It seemed like they were just reaching for 5 stars with Nolan Hickman and Hunter Salas, who are good players, but they're probably. I think Hunter Salas was like a top 20 kid in his class, and he's a good player, but he's probably a top 80 kid. And whenever you're going to Gonzaga and you're touted as this, and they've had those top 20 kids with consistency, there's going to be a difference in how they're going to be able to compete at the end of the year.
Goodman?
3 to 5 years for Few. 3 to 5 years.
That was the question.
I would say. And yeah, I mean, listen, they're still going to be great in the WCC. We know that, but again, you better be older, so you better get some transfers through the portal. They've done that over the years, so they'll be able to do that again.
They did really well with transfers before transfers. Like Brandon Clark was an All-American for them, right?
That's true.
Nigel Williams-Goss was an All-American for them. They've done well
Dan
with transfers.
Dickow was a transfer.
That's right.
UW. Wow.
I totally forgot about that until we saw him in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so
I didn't
they'll
even
get
know
some
that.
dudes.
I didn't know that.
But again, some dudes, I mean, listen, for the next couple of years, we don't know because of the extra COVID years. So it's like you got to be careful what you say. I don't think they're going to ever be at the talent level that they've been at the last few years. Like, I mean, they got Chet Holmgren and Jalen Suggs, guys.
Right.
They're not going to do that again.
No.
But can they go over and without Tommy Lloyd, They're-
overseas.
But do they have a dude? Like, is Brian Michelson capable? Are the ties strong enough with the school that
Right.
they can get international guys? Because Tommy Lloyd, he went over there every summer. So the school has the reputation, so maybe they can get international guys just with the school's reputation, or because was it so strong with Tommy Lloyd, is he now going to get those guys to Arizona?
Can I be honest? The school's reputation isn't going to get guys. It's
Gonzaga, though. I would fight
Right.
with you a little bit on that.
Jeff. They don't know the college game. They don't
Say
know.
again?
They don't know the college game over there to where like they're going to be like, oh, that's Gonzaga. But
Internationally, no.
no,
But you can't sell the former players that were international.
I think there's
that
a
have had
connection,
success.
obviously, that
maybe like an
that was
Arizona.
made that had, and people have sent players over with through relationships. But I don't think they follow it over there and don't follow Gonzaga as much as you would think internationally. I don't think that's as much as Lloyd having connections and ties to people to get players. That's a relationship thing.
Yeah.
That's 100% a relationship.
So I 100% believe that Gonzaga missed their window.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
think so,
how.
too.
Look, I think that for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever many years, that Gonzaga is going to be what people thought they were the last 5 years. The last 5 years, they were elite. They were among the top 5 teams in the country every single year. I don't care what the results
Every
said.
week
I don't,
they were in the top 5.
Yeah.
It felt like.
I don't care what that they don't have a national title, right?
Right.
They were great. You don't make 2 national title games in 5 years and not be a great program. You don't win 31 straight games and not be a great program. You don't have the talent that they did and not be a great program. But at the same time, we're looking at a situation where I think it's very difficult for them to get back to having that same level of talent. And it kind of sucks because I wish that Mark Few got one. I think he deserves the title.
I know.
I just don't know if I think they're going to be more of a top 15, 20 kind of a team.
Which is
But
kind of what they
if
were.
we see, that's enough.
That is enough to.
That's enough. And that's why I said
Can
the
you win
development.
one?
They
though?
still
Can
have
you win a title?
They got names right now. We're going to see if those younger guys, like I said, Efton Reed was a top 30 kid in the country
Yep.
that never got off the bench for them. Then you play behind an All-American.
But man,
I get
Hickman and Salas, you know what they look like? They look like mid-tier WCC players.
Well, but again, they get older, and it's amazing what you do when you get opportunities.
Yeah.
Like now, you're going to get shots, you get opportunities. It's hard to stay motivated at any age when you know I got the best, arguably, a first-team All-American guy in front of me. I'm not getting in the game.
Yep. All right, listen, we got to head to a break here, but the one thing that I think everybody can agree on is that there needs to be a team or a player or a coach, regardless of sport, for everybody to root against. You need a villain. In Major League Baseball, the Yankees are the villain. In the NFL, Dallas Cowboys are the villain. We're going to tell you who college basketball's villain is coming up next. You know what the best part about the end of the college basketball season is? That signifies the start of spring, the start of summer, the start of hot weather, the start of late nights, the start of weekends on the water, and the best way to stay refreshed during the summer months is with Hornitos Ranch Water, a premium sparkling cocktail with a balance of freshly squeezed lime paired with smooth tequila notes. Hornitos Tequila is a 100% agave premium tequila from the lowlands of Jalisco. It's specifically from the town of Tequila. Originating from one of the most historic distilleries, Hornitos paved the way for all future tequila brands, starting with the tequila name. An official partner of the Houston Astros, you can buy Hornitos Ranch Water in a can, or you can come to Houston's best sports bar, Little Woodrow's in Edo, and get a fresh, handmade cocktail with Hornitos Tequila. There's nothing better on a warm spring day than Hornitos Ranch Water and a Houston Astros baseball game. Welcome back. It's the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live on YouTube right now. We have about 30 seconds left before we head back to SiriusXM. Dagan, are there any questions in the chat that we're allowed to answer right now? Is there anything that we will not get in trouble? I don't need to get canceled. I don't need to hear about John Fanta's skid marks. No more John Fanta's
The
skid
UConn
marks
fans
here.
aren't still yelling at me?
Yeah. You heard what I said. You heard what I said.
The UConn fans are yelling at me because I said they're not a blue blood.
4, 3, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live, SiriusXM Channel 84. We're also streaming over on YouTube. Jump in the chat. Ask us some questions. And while you're there, smash that like button, RC. Randolph, Childress, Terrence, Oglesby, Jeff Goodman. I'm Rob Dauster. We are live in Little Woodrow's in Edo in downtown Houston. We're hanging out here for the Final Four. We got about 10 minutes left in the show, and I teased it before we left, guys. With Coach Hay gone, college basketball doesn't have a villain.
Everybody hates Dusty May.
Dustin, man.
There's no villain. There's no villain in college basketball.
There's a villain.
There's
Who
always
is
a
it?
villain.
I mean, I think Dan Hurley has the potential to be a villain.
I think Dan Hurley,
He's the only one.
he's getting the benefit
No,
of the doubt
it
this
depends
year.
on who you ask.
He's
If you
about
ask
to
Providence fan.
He's
Ed
about
Cooley's
to be.
a villain.
Hey, who's the next villain? I think, hey, Dan Hurley, he wins a championship and he goes on. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. I'm just letting you know. It's endearing right now.
Right.
But love turns to hate quick, fast, and in a hurry with college basketball fans.
So you
He's
think it's
the only
I
one.
think he's the next one. And it's not me hating him. I love Dan. I think he's awesome. I think he's so much fun to watch. I do think there's going to come a point where they're winning and winning and winning, and his antics are still going and going and going. They're going to get on people. He's going to be that next guy.
Are you saying villain here in the Final Four or overall?
No, villain overall.
Overall.
Like,
Could he be that guy
It's
overall?
probably Muscleman. I mean, let's be honest. You take your shirt up. No, it is. You take your shirt up like that after a game. I've got coaches. You know how many coaches called me
but
after that?
the coach's opinion doesn't matter. It's the fan's opinion that matters.
Dude, when
You
he
need
took his
somebody
shirt
that
off, he
everyone
looked
can
like
root
he
against.
could go 250 miles an hour down.
I think it'll be a while before we get one.
What you know what he looked like? He looked like he was a swimmer. Streamlined.
No, he looked like he could go down a slip
Who
and
else could
slide
be
at
a
about
villain?
buck
He looked like he had
85.
been waxed.
Who else potentially can be a villain?
I bet he had been waxed.
He probably had been waxed. He was smooth.
You know who would
Potential
embrace
villains.
it?
Who?
Cooley.
No.
I don't know if he wants.
The reason I
this
say it,
life. No.
no, he hates it personally. I don't think he gives a damn about outside opinions.
I do. I think you're wrong.
You think I'm wrong?
I do. Ed loves being loved.
I think the people around him he does. I don't know if I'd say outside. I don't think outside opinions bother him as much. I'm just saying, listen, he's a great guy. It's not
Right.
nothing to hate
He's a
about him.
great
I'm just
guy.
saying he would embrace
He's never been. You know who it's like?
the role.
It's kind of like a little bit like when KD went to Golden State.
Nah, that's not it.
It is. KD was the golden boy.
You know what? It's
he was
not
the golden
far off.
boy. Ed Cooley was the golden boy. Now you go. Now again, different. Obviously different.
I only
KD,
think it's because of the
he-
program.
He got criticized for the first time in his life. KD when he went to Golden State.
True.
Had never been criticized before. Ed Cooley is getting criticized for the first time in his life.
But that's my point. I think that he's saying, I'm taking this job. We all knew he was going to get it.
Like
he knew
this?
it was
Like
coming.
this?
Oh, hell yeah. He had to. In conference,
Just
I got
wait.
you rolling.
Wait till he comes
and
back to the
everybody,
dunk.
and you and I talked about this. We thought last year he'd be great. Not knowing any idea
How
that he
about
was
that?
actually going to do
I mean,
it.
we talked about this for what? Since
My
we
God.
started
Before
Field
it
of
started.
68.
Yes. He would
Hey.
be the guy since we talked about a year ago
Blank
before
check.
Pat came back.
Blank check.
What about Patino? Could Patino be that guy coming back? He could be the guy
Sure.
everybody hates
I mean,
for the next
Calipari's
6 or
a
7
villain,
years.
right? Cal's a villain.
Yeah, but you got to be.
Cal,
You got to win. You got to win at a high level to be.
gotta
I think
be
you got to
more-
be winning to be
Right,
a villain. But
right,
everybody
I agree.
hates
You
it
got to get
'cause
to
they're
the
tired
second
of
weekend
you.
at minimum, right? Come
Hard
on.
to
what
be a
do we-
villain when you
what do we-
can't win.
Yeah, he's not. Right now, if you ask Kentucky fans, Shaheen Holloway's the villain.
No, if you ask Kentucky fans right now, John Calipari's the
If
villain.
you ask
Yeah.
Kentucky fans
Yeah.
right now, Jeff Goodman's the villain.
Hey, that's not true.
Everybody loves
That's not true. Temple fans, maybe.
Temple
Yeah.
fans.
No, Providence fans right now are the ones that don't like.
Providence fans, Barstool fans.
Yeah, Barstool fans.
Barstool fans. So let me ask you this then: who is the next?
Oh,
coach?
T.J. Otzelberger could be a villain.
He looks like a villain.
He looks like a villain in a
looks
James
like-
Bond
yeah.
video.
Jack, his arms,
That's
man.
what I'm saying.
I
he
swear,
looks-
I think in huddles, I think he lives.
So we talked about this last night. Tyler Hansbrough.
In the huddles. You think he just has 30s, so he's just curling while he's riding that X and O's?
Listen up.
That's what we need to do. We need to get TJ in the middle of the game. In the middle of the game on the sideline.
Just knocking out some.
Not
bricks.
even that. Not, you know what he should? He should be like dry scooping protein powder, just eating it on the side, as opposed to drinking water. Just like
TJ's
getting
here, man.
just chewing on protein
I
powder
want
on
a
the sidelines.
TJ Rob Dauster arm wrestling match.
And then he
He'll
starts.
probably beat
And
me
then
right
he
now.
starts coughing. and all the
Wait until June. Wait until June.
Are you
We'll
gonna- you
fire
gonna
this
look
up in
like
June.
TJ?
I
You get a chance
promise.
to work out.
I'm gonna be in such good shape in June. Just watch. That's what I'm gonna keep telling myself.
Pearl could be kind of a villain. I think people are starting to come around to Bruce.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think it's Pearl.
Well,
I don't know if it
it's
is a
Will
guy.
Wade
I don't
at
know.
McNeese State. It's Will Wade if he ever gets back to that level.
That's who the villain
So
is.
we had this conversation last night on After Dark with Tyler Hansbrough.
I think Will
what
likes being
Hansbrough
the
said.
villain,
Yeah, he does.
Will
What he
likes
said-
being the villain.
What Hansbrough said is Mick Cronin.
Maybe.
He is
Maybe.
kind of
But I
curmudgeon-y.
don't know how much, like, they made a Final Four. He wasn't really a villain.
I'm not sure if he's loud enough to really be a villain.
Oh, he's
It's
loud
got-
enough.
But I mean, like in press
Right.
conferences where he's
Right.
going to make this big, huge, gargantuan statement. That's the reason I think Pitino could be, because there's a certain arrogance he's taken this St. John's
He's
job
so
with.
entertaining now.
Oh, he's the best. But he wouldn't even let me come to shoot around whenever I did an Iona Siena game for ESPN. He wouldn't even let us in. But
Doesn't
there's
care. He doesn't give a
He
shit
He
anymore.
doesn't give a shit.
That's the deal.
Which could further that.
And he also has all of the baggage that
Like
comes
5
with.
years, I didn't talk to him for 4 or 5 years. And then he just talked to me, no problem, last week in Albany. Like nothing, and I don't even know what it was about, anything. It was just, it was weird.
He
You
moved
wanna
to
know the
Greece
truth?
and got
I actually
relaxed.
talked with someone about this in the know.
All right.
He doesn't know who you are.
Yeah, well, that could be true.
He has no idea who you are. He's like, Jeff who? Jeff Goonblub? Never heard of the guy.
You're getting a lot of mileage out of that.
Like how I set that one up. Like how I set that one up. Oh man! All right, Goodman, I got one for you, real quick. All right, we got about 5 minutes left in the show. Who is the next coach? That next year, we've seen Dan Hurley make his first Final Four.
Yeah.
We've seen Brian Dutcher make his first Final Four. We've seen Dusty May make his first Final Four. Who's that next guy that is kind of beating down that door that hasn't gotten there yet that you think is going to break through?
Nate Oates. He's going to bring in talent. SEC. He's got NIL.
They just landed that kid from Wichita State, which is like a perfect.
Jaquan Walton.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
perfect
He's a good
Alabama
player.
dude.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
I just think they're going to be in the mix every year, and
probably
they'll
will
break
be.
through at some point. They were a little too young this year, and obviously they went through some off the court stuff. But I think their youth, you can't be that young. You can't have 4 of your top 8 guys be freshmen anymore. Like you can have Brandon Miller.
Until the COVID year is out,
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
which is what me and Randolph have been alluding to. I think the power of the freshmen is going to come back when this 5th year is done.
I hope you're right.
I think it will. I think it has to.
It has to.
Fully though,
Yes.
fully.
There's a big difference between a
and
five-star
these were
freshman
bad
coming
years.
in. Yeah,
These were bad years for freshmen.
yeah,
too.
but still, I mean, there's a big difference between an 17, 18-year-old kid playing against 22
I mean,
as
you
opposed to
got
playing 24.
22 is being kind. That's on a normal
24.
year. You got
Yeah.
24 and 25-year-old. Like
ridiculous.
Memphis had 26.
DeAndre was 26.
DeAndre's 26. I mean,
That man has a mortgage.
To be honest, I don't know where you guys stand on this, but I'm done. The COVID year, I wish it was like over.
I talked
I'm
to some
out.
coaches
I'm
that
out.
are along the same line.
Yes.
The coaches are like, "Gosh,
They want it out.
we're done.
Right.
We can't
Right.
get it anymore."
They want to move on from it.
Why?
They just feel like at this point,
It's on
like,
deaf ears.
Why are we doing this? There is such a big disparity between 25, 26-year-olds and 18-year-olds, and they just feel like that year, most players got almost a full year. Like what'd they get? Like 25 games? Most teams that year?
I think
I
that the
thought
reason
seniors should have
I think
gotten
the reason that the portal is so
that's fair.
I think
That's
that the
a great
reason that the
point.
portal is so busy is because of those fifth-year
course.
seniors. That's
Right.
why it gets really crazy.
Why
That's
wouldn't you
why it
throw
gets
your
really
name in?
crazy. Listen, this has been the Field of 68 After Dark. We have been on Sirius XM. We've been streaming live on YouTube. We're going to be back here at Little Woodrow's in Edo in downtown Houston on Thursday at noon Central Time. We're going to be streaming here. We're going to be here Friday noon Central Time. Bayou Music House on Thursday night, 8 o'clock. We'll be going at the same time as the dunk contest, three-point shooting contest. If you are around, come down, come hang out, come say hello. We want to see you. UConn fans, you can yell at RC. For Jeff Goodman, for Terrence Oglesby, for Randolph Childress, for John Fanta, who has since passed away. My name is Rob Dauster. We'll see you guys tomorrow at noon.